studio from CBS in Hollywood, television's most exciting hour of fantastic prizes. The Price is Right. Adam Hurt, come on down. Jaleisha Smith, come on down. Elliot Mangubi, come on down. And Raven Anderson, come on down. You are the first four contestants as The Price is Right celebrates season 44. And now, here's your host, Drew Carey! Drew Carey! The yodeling guy! The cowardly lion! Drew Funkmaster Carey! Drew Carey! Drew Scary! Drew Carey! Drew Carey! Drew Carey! Drew Carey! Drew Carey!
Rich, how you doing? Rachel Reynolds, everybody. I'm an hand for George Gray.
Hey, Drew. How you doing, man? Good to see you. Hi, Mama May.
Celebrating 44 years, 5 decades. Today we're throwing back to the 90s. Got my hair done Bob Barker style. You guys ready to go? Okay, good luck. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. Let's get started with the first prize ever bid today on The Price is Right.
So, who are we talking about? Craig Ferguson?
You got me? I have no idea.
I mean, whose
All
line
right.
is it anyway?
All right, gentlemen. First of all, before we get into the nitty-gritty of things, welcome to Life is Like a Game Show, a feature presentation of the W2M Network, available online across most social media platforms and your favorite preferred streaming podcast platform of choice. Because I'm not going to spend 5 minutes doing plugs.
That's my shtick.
And unfortunately, Harry, thank you for joining us, Harry. We know you're not feeling well, so I'll be doing a good bit of the heavy lifting this evening. I am your host temporarius. I don't know what I forget how you
Guest
say that
host.
in Latin. I am Brian Espinoza. Joined with me, as always, as I just introduced, we have Harry Broadhurst. We have the one and only Mr. Jonathan Nielsen down there. And as always, the spectacular executive producer of the W2M Network, Mr. Eric Watkins. Now, good evening, gentlemen.
Note that Eric got the super special intro. We just got basic bitches.
It's good to be the EP. Hey, he's my boss. I got to kiss a little bit of ass, but not literally.
All right. As you guys can clearly hear, I am a little bit under the weather tonight. I'm hoping to make it through the broadcast without getting into too many coughing fits. I make no promises as far as that goes. I have handed over the hosting reins for tonight's episode of Life is Like a Game Show over to Brian Espinoza, however. But I will say this much, gentlemen. I did not come unprepared tonight. I actually did my homework. Not only did I watch the documentary, I also watched the Kevin Pollak edition of the Kevin Pollak Chat Show with Drew Carey. So the clips that are used in the documentary, I watched the full episode of his interview. He's learning.
Sir. Now, before we get too ahead of ourselves here, because we've got quite a bit to talk about tonight, I would like to continue to welcome our viewers to the Price is Right month here, the entire month of March on Life is Like a Game Show here on the W2M Network. As a continued warning, disclaimer of sorts, these are not the normal Lilags episodes that you have come to love and expect from our ragtag crew of individuals. These shows are at least double the length, if we're being honest. And they will continue to be double the length through the month of March. You have been warned fairly.
A 3-hour tour.
The Price is Right is a fantastic show. This week on our deep dive, month-long deep dive into The Price is Right, if you couldn't figure it out by the introduction sequence this week, we are talking about Drew Carey.
Oh! Can I just...
Now, gentlemen, I have a question for you.
Well, I mean, I guess you're the host this week, so you can gimmick and fringe as necessary. Go ahead, Eric. Give him the banner.
All right. Please hold. There we go.
We all saw the intro sequence. There's a particular theme to this intro sequence. Can any of you gentlemen tell me what that theme is? And Eric, you're disqualified because you're the EP and you already know what it is.
I'm about to say, je recuse. I recuse myself.
Sounds like a lot of Halloween episodes to me.
Harry, were you going to
say... I was just going to say general themed episodes rather than just specifically Halloween.
So you're both correct, actually. All of the cutaways introducing Drew were from all of the Halloween specials. Fun fact, I started off making this intro. I was thinking, okay, I'm going to do April Fools because Drew is known for his April Fools shows. And I started downloading all of the video evidence and stuff that I need. And I started clipping, and I'm like, all of these episodes look exactly the same. And it's literally just George Gray yelling his signature Drew Carey 16 times in a row. This is boring. So I'm thinking, okay, I'm going to pivot here. What can I pivot into? Let me see. I remembered the Yodely Guy episode. And I'm thinking, okay, I want to get the Yodely Guy intro into here. And I'm like, oh, that was Halloween. Okay, I thought that was April Fools. So I started pivoting over to Halloween. And in the middle of Halloween, I found the Decades Week that they did back in season 44.
Great week.
So what you saw at the very beginning and end of the intro was the 90s episode, complete with Drew Carey doing his audience intro with Bob Barker hairdo, as he mentioned. I will say the very first cutaway to Drew Carey there at the very, very beginning, the very first Drew Carey was Rich Fields from Drew Carey's very first taped episode.
Obligatory plug from Harry is obligatory.
But yeah, that was this week's episode. Or that was.
It's a fun game.
I would say there was only one way you could have made that intro better, Brian. And
if you're gonna say Craig Ferguson, it wouldn't have fit thematically because I was thinking about putting in the Craig intro where they from that from that April Fool's flip.
Oh my! So the wavelength isn't on tonight. Not yet.
No, I was thinking since you mentioned April Fools,
leave your mic muted, John.
Bob Barker.
I had that one. I had them all in the timeline, and I'm like, this doesn't fit right.
But the announcer still says Drew Carey, and out comes Bob. It is the perfect troll.
Oh, it was an absolutely perfect troll. You are not wrong about that at all whatsoever. I can probably give me a moment here, and I could probably find it in the list of.
Though we got to be careful when we talk about Drew Carey hosted game shows. I mean, we do run the high risk of blowing our load too early.
That pun was terrible to the power of 10.
I will X myself.
Can I just say that Bob Barker is not amused?
That's what we're Xing for. Speaking of Bob Barker, we've got the footage.
Yes.
Do we have the audio?
Did it not share with the audio?
It did not share with the audio. If that's Daily Motion, yeah, you have to actually turn the sound on.
No,
Daily Motion.
Okay,
I had
try it
to make
again.
a recommendation.
Toby, you're not wrong.
Contestants,
It's John. The puns are always bad.
and now, here's your host, Drew Carey.
Again, I had all of these clips downloaded, ready to go in my video editing software, Sony Vegas.
And again,
But it didn't timeline right to me. And, well, yeah, it didn't timeline right to me. So,
Is that what Discord means when it says you're playing Vegas Pro 17?
yes.
yes.
I'm in the middle of video editing.
Okay. I was curious about that. Now I have my answer.
I don't know, Toby.
You want to go ahead?
That's like
You
stating
want to go ahead
Brian.
and read it so our Eric? You want to go ahead and read it so our listening audience can be in
No,
on
no,
the
he
joke?
does not need to read it. That's the host's decision. We're moving on.
Hashtag damn it, Toby.
Yes. And I would like to remind a certain listener by the name of Damn It Toby that I also know where he lives. In continuation of a discussion that we were having before the show started.
So our story begins October 15th, 2007 on CBS. Drew Carey takes over as host of The Price is Right.
We have a clip in just a moment, but we will have a clip.
Are we going to the non-credible academic after you air the clip here, Mr. Espinoza? On Drew,
I don't really
Allison,
think there's.
Carey?
I don't really think there's. There. Oh yeah, we could go to the clip on one Mr. Drew, Allison, Carey, sure. But we have a clip.
I kind of disagree with that one, Toby. Not going to read it for the listening audience, but I disagree.
Toby, I share certain secrets with certain people, and I promise you don't know the deepest, darkest ones.
Yes.
Here it comes.
I like How I Met Your Mother.
Parker Studio at CBS in Hollywood.
Again, I would like to remind you, I had all of this stuff
Television's
pre-planned.
Fantastic prizes. The fabulous 60-minute Price is Right.
Also, Eating on Air is a W2M
Thomas
Network gimmick
Wow.
exclusive.
Come on down.
Tonight's dinner is wings.
Leonardo, come on down. And Flying Gwen, come on down. And Bernard Davis, come on down. You are the first four contestants of The Price is Right. And now, here is the star of The Price is Right, Drew Carey.
Again, same clip from the intro. He's so fat here. No offense to Drew Carey, but this is definitely fat Drew Carey.
I mean, you're not wrong when you say that.
Right, happiest place on earth. Look at this place.
Correct me if I'm wrong. Gastric bypass, no?
Richfield,
Yes,
what's
sir.
our first
I
item up
think-
for bid
I think
today
so.
on The Price is Right?
Drew, it's fun. Scuba equipment.
You know, we've
No. Just diet and exercise plan resulting in extensive weight loss.
you know,
Type 2 diabetes and had cataract surgery 2020. You know,
apparently
Nielsen
Nielsen
glasses do that to you.
Yeah, the
apparently-
glasses are fake now. He doesn't need them anymore.
Apparently, Nielsen's already on the non-credible academic resource.
I mean, he's been there pretty much the whole time. It's his thing.
Now, gentlemen, would you like to play the first one bid, or shall we go to the first or shall we go to the academic resource?
I'll play along with the one bid. Why not? We've talked about having more show interaction involved here. All right. Are we doing this in order that we are across the bottom screen? So Eric goes first, Brian goes second.
Yeah, we can do that. Yeah.
Okay.
Placing my initial bid. Well, let me hear about it a little bit more first.
Yeah, I was going to
Pause
say.
for 1 second.
Let me go ahead and play it from. Here we go. All right, first item up for bid.
Real quick, pause for 1 second. I just want to point out, I don't know if you guys noticed it as well. The model for Drew's first one bid is a carryover from the Barker era and Rachel Reynolds.
Mm-hmm.
Rachel Reynolds stayed on for quite a while after
Like
Carey took
15
over.
years. She was there for like 15 years. I want to say
I think she just recently. Oh God, that was not good.
Like 2003 to 2018, if I'm not mistaken. I think I saw on the model Wikipedia page.
Just so y'all know, we are getting some really intense, severe weather outside right now. So if we happen to, disappear.
Yeah. Also, can't talk about Drew without stating Cleveland rocks. Depends in which way. Tell that to Browns fans.
As a diehard fan of the Drew
fans.
All right, gentlemen. First item up for bids today.
Okay.
Welcome to the Price is Right, happiest place on earth. Look at this place. Just fantastic. Richfield,
Yes,
what's
sir.
our first item up for bids today on the Price is Right?
Drew, it's fun scuba equipment. From Oceanic, it's a complete scuba package. Experience diving comfort and freedom with a regulator, wetsuit, mask, snorkel fins, and a personal dive computer. From Oceanic, inventing the freedom of diving, tank included.
Hey, that's great. And of course, this beautiful prize will go to the one of you who bids closest to the actual retail price without going over. Bernard.
Eric, you first.
$850.
$850. All right. I got to remember how to edit my name here. There it is. I am going to say 1,100. John. 851. And
Really?
Really?
Harry.
I say 1,200.
1,200. All right, let's go to the actual bids. We're getting a 1,500 from the audience. Let's go
I
to
will
the actual
remind
bids,
Toby
please.
that 4 at a time. He could be in the next one.
Bernard, how you doing? What's your bid?
I'm doing fine, Drew. How you doing?
Doing great.
Real great. 1,800.
1,800. Flang, how you doing, buddy?
650.
650. Aura, how are you?
Hi, Drew. Love you. 1,200.
1,200. Thomas.
1,300.
1,300, says Thomas. And the actual retail price is $2,114.
Harry, come on up. They're playing the first pricing game of Drew's reign, and it's going to be this.
Technically, I think Toby won it.
Technically, Toby did win it, but
He's not a contestant.
he's not a
Nice to
contestant.
see
He's
it.
just in the audience.
Congratulations.
He's not on contestant's row.
Here,
I could have made a terrible joke involving my bid.
My wife did. Your wife did? Maybe he can drive back. Rich, tell him what he's got.
Bernard, how about a new G?
He's already running over to the car like he won it.
The
Hold
Jeep
on there,
Wrangler
buddy.
4x4 comes with standard equipment plus air conditioning
You
and
ain't in the
locking
car
fuel
yet.
cap. The Jeep Wrangler.
Bernard, you're my-
He's patting him on the back. Get the fuck back over there.
all the way from Slowly I turned.
You
step
saw
by
that
step.
little shove
Okay.
she gave him?
Wait, whoa.
I used to have a Jeep Wrangler, a really fun car. The middle number is
Time.
Hold on.
6.
Sorry.
Did you not get the reference that Drew Carey made? Because that is an esoteric reference there.
He used to.
Niagara Falls. Slowly I turned. Classic movie reference, actually.
No, I did not get it. Sorry.
19,675.
Inch by inch.
18,690.
Stooges reference.
I am recusing myself because I know I do know it.
Whoa.
I didn't remember the one bid, which is why I bid on it. I do remember this. At least I remember part of it, so I don't think it's fair if I play.
Okay.
Link to the Slowly I Turned reference for the notes leader.
Ah.
Guess the
All
car
right.
price, Jonathan.
I'm
said
not
19
guessing because I know the first half of the price.
I said 19,675.
God, those lightning strikes are awful close.
21,690.
Oh, he's going with how super expensive.
It's a Jeep Wrangler, John.
All right, so he says 21,690.
21,690.
Eric, what was your number?
18,690.
I'm going with 21.
21. Let's see if 21 is under. If you get one of these symbols under here, you get the first of the back half. No. You get $21. You have 4 chances here. You got $21.
My wife says 19.
Your wife says 19. I would listen to my wife if I was you.
Mm-hmm.
Wife says 19. There it is. First half of the car.
Well, I'm wrong.
Hey, Bernard. Halfway there. Let's give me the last 2 numbers. You're all set.
Broadhurst is on fire tonight. 75.
Wife says 18.
Boo!
Wrong.
No, but you have $39.
I don't know.
Back into the-
Sometimes El Cheapo works.
75.
Yeah, but not as the back end of the car.
Wife again?
No, I've seen
75.
them do that. They
Hope
did.
it's
They
under
used
there.
to do that in Bob's era.
75. You win it. Ah, get in there. Get in there. There you go, Bernard. Congratulations. You won it, Chief. We'll be right back with more prices. After this. Don't go away.
Beat, man wins a Jeep.
Okay, so Harry, I'm gonna need you to text me some lotto numbers, please and thank you.
I mean, you got 2 of them right there, 19 and 75.
The lotto doesn't go that high, you dingus, unless they changed
really
it
does.
again.
All right, clear
I was gonna
bids,
say,
please.
what are they? What are they at? Like 63 now or something?
Something like that.
Ooh, new viewer.
According to my buddy Patrick Ketza, who actually Eric just posted up there on the chat as well, Rachel Reynolds is still with The Price is Right.
I was gonna say, I'm pretty sure she is. Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought she
Anyways,
stepped away
I'm
from the
gonna- I'm sure y'all saw that,
That
on
may have
screen.
been-
Please,
that may have been
I know y'all
maternity
saw that
leave.
on screen. That flash on screen.
Mm-hmm.
We saw
Yeah,
the first
that's-
one too.
That's how close they're getting.
Brian Espinosa and Jonathan Nielsen may not be seen much longer this evening.
If that happens,
That's
You
the
ready to
show,
take-
folks.
if that happens, you guys ready to take over?
To an
I feel like we
extent.
might
But yeah.
feel like we might be rescheduling this deep dive if that happens.
No,
Nope. Show must go on.
show must go on. Anyways,
I might hop on my phone.
All right,
yeah, that might be. It might get down to that.
So
Two of
to
us
the
sharing a
non-credible
phone connection.
academic resource.
Yes, please, Mr. Nielsen, tell us about one Mr. Drew Carey.
U.S. Marine Corps veteran. Hoorah.
Semper Fi.
Active in the TV industry since 1985. Man known for improvisational comedy. He had the Drew Carey Show. He had Drew Carey's green screen show. Whose line is it anyway? We do not talk about what happened underneath the desk. You have Price is Right. You have Power of 10. And Drew Carey's Improvaganza.
AK, whose line is it
syndicated.
anyways 2.0?
I believe Improvaganza was syndicated.
It was on GSN.
So, as a Marine Corps
Was
reservist,
it really?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So, as a Marine Corps reservist from 81 to 87, earned rank of sergeant in E5. And born and raised in the old Brooklyn neighborhood of Cleveland, Ohio. Graduate at Kent State, part of Delta Tau Delta fraternity. Expelled twice for poor
Gordon
academic
Flash.
performance.
Well, if I'm not mistaken, and I could be wrong about this, I think he started doing stand-up in college.
Yeah, and previous lines of employment include in the Marine Corps Reserve, field radio operator at the 25th Marine Regiment in Ohio. Moved to Vegas for a few months in '83. Worked for a short time as a back teller to waiter at Denny's.
I miss
And began his
Denny's.
stand-up career at '85.
Denny's is still around, but it's not the same.
Well, here's the problem. There used to be one like legitimately like 5 minutes up the road from me, and in the COVID pandemic, it went out of business.
No, you know what I miss?
So
And this was and COVID had nothing to do with this one, sadly.
you can take us back four
Yeah,
screen,
bring
Eric.
everybody back. Also,
Speaking of restaurants briefly, I miss Perkins.
yes. And now
We
if
still
I
have
may,
Perkinsons up here.
Before
Go
we
ahead,
close out,
go ahead,
I
John.
lose everybody. I have a question. So, besides The Price is Right, name a long-running television series that has featured both Bob Barker and Drew Carey on separate occasions.
I know the answer to this.
Oh,
I'm pretty sure I know the answer to this.
go ahead.
I am pretty sure it's Monday Night Raw.
You are correct. The longest-running weekly episodic series on television, it is Monday Night Raw.
Yeah, that would
We're
explain
west of
everything.
Orlando, but appreciate it, Toby.
Well, I'm east of Orlando, just farther north.
Way further north.
Real quick,
on,
allow me to take this.
January 21st, 2001. Entered as Vince McMahon's guest entrant in the Royal Rumble. It didn't last very long.
I was going to say, technically, he wasn't on. Technically, I don't believe he was on Raw. He was in. He was in the Royal Rumble itself. Thank you, Patrick. I was just about to get there.
Yep, he had that up there, but I was waiting since someone, doing their thing.
Real quick, for our wrestling crossover audience, rest in peace, Scott Hall. And this one's for you. Ayo. That was his signature greeting whenever he cut a promo.
Yeah.
The confused look was I'm reading the non-academic critical source here.
But that was more for the two non-regular wrestling watchers above. Thanks for the sell, Patrick. Appreciate it.
Drew
All right.
Really, Harry? Really?
What?
Oh.
I know my classics.
Cameo.
Well, I appreciate that, but I know Eric isn't much of a wrestling watcher. He's picked up things here and there, but...
Well, I knew about that from previous tributes, like of the Chiseled Adonis,
Right.
so I had a feeling.
But Drew Carey,
Yeah, we can
among
kill the
his many
graphic, Eric.
cameos, appeared on an episode of
I remember that. They
And
thought he was
asked-
the killer on the episode. They thought he was the killer on the episode, and he wasn't.
as a retired Marine. His character was a sergeant, last rank he held in real life. Real pictures of him in dress blues and everyday garb were on the plasma screen in the squad room. Pay no attention to the man behind the curtain.
Would you like to fill in our listening audience, Eric?
Well, no, that was another local weather report dealing for what's going on and why we're seeing.
I don't
the
need a
lightning
local
crashes
weather
of
report. I can look out my blind and tell you it's raining cats and dogs. And I don't even need to look out the blinds to do that because I'm hurting like a sumbitch right now.
Well, he was the one who wanted to know, hey, fill everybody in, as I had some of the comments on screen. And technically, since you over there are the host, I know with your discretion, I'm not going to read all of them.
As I said, it's raining sideways.
We now go to Ollie Williams for the Black U weather forecast. Ollie, it's fucking raining. Thanks, Ollie.
I'm at the wrong airport.
Here's what it looks like it is.
Bring me some soup.
What kind of soup?
Here.
All right, we'll get right on that.
All right, back to the show.
So, Eric, actually, I got one more. Eric, how you beating the heat up there?
I don't, of all the people, I'm not the one to get all the references to. You know how long it's been since I've
Swimming hole. The answer is swimming hole.
Okay, like I said, you know, like I said, when I was going to make a whole joke about a stereotype while I didn't get the scuba gear, but oh no, didn't want to touch that territory. Now you're setting me up for this.
Well, I mean,
The views and opinions of Jonathan Nielsen do not necessarily reflect those of the W2M Network.
They should have never gave you money.
They should have never gave me a network. It's more like it. And here we are.
All right, guys, back on topic.
All right. Let's get back on topic, gentlemen.
Who do you think I am? Brooks Parkenridge?
I have no idea who that is. We're talking about one Drew Carey, the host of The Price is Right, whose interesting side hobbies include soccer. And
to that point,
I actually have a story about that.
Yes, hi. I'm the host. I'm telling you to shut up. Thank you.
I have a story.
Do any of you know the soccer team that Carey has a stake in? Okay, that one was pretty obvious. Go ahead. I'm going to go ahead and send it over to co-host of Soccer to the Max here on the W2M Network, Mr. Eric Watkins, to take it away. Please tell us about Mr. Carey's soccer interests.
You're correct. As one of the more recent premier, then expansion teams who has gone on to great success in Major League Soccer, Drew Carey is indeed part owner of former co-host and welcome back to the network at any time, Miss Rachel Krieger herself, her favorite club, Seattle Sounders FC. One of the main contenders for MLS Cup even this year.
Okay, so actually, Jonathan raises a very valid point inside of the private chat here. Jonathan, I'll let you go ahead and read what you just sent in the private chat out loud, and then I'll touch on that real quick.
So the Who Do You Think I Am? Brooks Parkenridge. That's the pseudonym that Drew Carey actually uses when taking pictures of the U.S. national soccer team as a press photographer and selling those via wire services. He was at 2006 FIFA World Cup for his show Drew Carey's Sporting Adventures.
So you telling me that sometimes if I post like a more recent episode of Soccer to the Max and I go on to Getty Images and I see the name Brooks Parkenridge, that's him.
That's him.
Yes.
I'm gonna be on the lookout for that.
All right, so this actually ties into what I said at the start of the show about the Kevin Pollak Chat Show with Drew Carey. One of the things that Drew talks about is the fact that he got deeply into soccer upon moving out to Los Angeles because he wanted a local team out in Los Angeles that he could follow that had no sport affiliations to Cleveland. Cleveland did not have a professional soccer team there, the Cleveland Crunch indoor soccer team not included. So Drew went to an LA Galaxy game and fell in love with the game, including eventually working his way up to earning press credentials as a photographer on the sideline, traveling on a complete world tour with the U.S. men's national team, including having to buy tickets to a game in Trinidad at a KFC.
We don't mention Trinidad in the United States around these parts.
A link to the Kevin Pollak show will be.
And there you have, for the audio listeners, a photo of one Brooks Park and Ridge.
A link to the Kevin Pollak Chat Show with Drew Carey will be provided in the show description as well.
So Drew Carey is not only involved in sports with just soccer. As we spoke beforehand, he did in 2001 enter the then WWF's Royal Rumble. He did it to promote a
stand-up pay-per-view.
Yes.
I specifically, sorry for stepping on your punchline there, but I specifically.
I thought you were going to correct me about the WWF, which is
no,
why I stopped talking.
You were correct. It was still the World Wrestling Federation in January of 2001.
But
the pay-per-view
yes, I know.
was on
I'm
the
reading
road
off
to
of the non-credible academic resource.
The pay-per-view was on the road to arguably what many consider the best WrestleMania ever in WrestleMania X7. 17 from 2001, and Drew Carey was self-eliminated in that Royal Rumble after being in the ring by himself when Kane's music hit, and Carey thought that discretion was the better part of valor and self-eliminated.
Well, not only that, but he did the stupid decision and he tried to bribe Kane first.
I mean,
he did, and it did not work.
No. The fuck out of here.
However, in 2011, in an ironic twist of fate, if I could use the word irony loosely.
Hang on. We're talking wrestling. Brian says twist of fate. I'll give it to him, Harry.
That's monkey. That's monkey worthy for me.
I really wasn't trying to go for a monkey for once.
Jeff Hardy
is a Hardy.
Twist of fate.
Matt Hardy, but Twist of Fate reference to the Hardy Boys.
No, I know what it is. I really didn't think of it. It just
it's more topical than you realize, because the other two superstars to share the ring with Drew Carey when he was in the Royal Rumble, Matt and Jeff Hardy.
This is the kind of
I pull a punt out of my ass and don't even realize that I just pulled a perfect punt out of my ass.
Well, this is
unlike
what
other
happens.
things that get pulled out of other people's asses, which are topics that we will discuss on Point of Viewer
Family
Sunday
show.
nights here on the W2M Network.
See, what I was going to say was you're going to go ahead and only get this kind of knowledge on the Indie Siders with Harry Broadhurst and Mark Radulich. They've got a new episode coming up. But yeah, Point of Viewer, there's going to be some updates this Sunday. Trust me. There's
that was
updates.
just like a massive plug block there, wasn't it?
Pretty much.
Yeah. All right. Anyways, again, ironic twist of fate. In 2011, Carey was inducted into the WWE Hall of Fame by none other than Kane.
Into the celebrity wing of the Hall of Fame before wrestling fans get butthurt about his inclusion. Believe me, it's a real thing.
He also so Carey has done some celebrity, a few celebrity competitions. Not so much game show. I don't know if you want to call poker a sport per se. But he did play in the first celebrity edition of the 2003 World Poker Tour. I was getting to that, Harry.
That's why I sent it in the chat. I didn't step on your line.
Oh, no. when you mentioned that, I'm sorry. Wheelhouse. Trust me, he was going to get to it.
Carry on. Carry.
I see what you did there. I'm surprised I didn't think of it.
Yeah, so he competed in the 2003 Celebrity Edition of the World Poker Tour, placed 5th, beating out the only other actor, Jack Black, and won $2,000 for his charity, which is not specified. He is somewhat of an avid runner. He's done a few marathons in his time. In 2011, he did the Marine Corps Historic Half Marathon in 1 hour 57 minutes.
Hoorah.
On September 4th, he did the Disneyland Half Marathon in 1 hour 50 minutes. And in October 30th, 2011, he finished the Marine Corps Marathon with a chip time of 4 hours, 37 minutes, and 11 seconds, placing 10,149th out of 20,940.
Would have thought its time would have been better, but not bad overall.
About dead center.
Top. Just about to say a little bit above the midway point there for him. So impressive performance.
Carey is definitely a bit of a philanthropist. He is an avid supporter of libraries. He credits them for beginning and making his comedy career. And on May 2nd, 2000, somebody trying to jump the gun on me here, in a celebrity edition of the greatest game show of all time, Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, with Regis Philbin.
Asterisk.
Look, I will concede this. Millionaire will be the greatest game show of all time if you acknowledge that la cerveza más fina actual, la cerveza más fina verdad en los Estados Unidos es Chihuahua. I'll concede that if you concede that.
Okay, fine. Claro que sí.
Did I suddenly hit the SAP button on my podcast?
Sí, usted estamos oyéndonos en el W2M Network. Esto es una presentación del W2M Network. Usted está escuchando a Life is Like a Game Show.
Inglés, por favor.
Puedes encontrar todos nosotros en sus favoritos servicios de podcast del todo del Internet. Y también puedo buscarnos nosotros en el Internet, social media, por Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, y Twitch.
This is turning in. You and me both, Toby.
Look, don't tempt me. Don't tempt me to.
We will pull
It's a quote a famous movie. I'm gonna need a SAP button for that some bitch.
Look, we will pull an extreme gong one of these days and do an entire episode in Spanish if we have to.
I issue a challenge.
Harry Brothers no está aquí para el episode. I don't know what the Spanish word for episode is.
That was pretty damn. That was pretty damn close. That was pretty damn close.
I don't. Episodio.
Episodio.
Episodio. I was close.
Yes, you were.
That's why I said it was pretty damn good.
And you know what? You didn't go
No
over
está aquí. No estoy aquí, technically.
But anyway, seriously, I issue a challenge.
Ay, Dios mío.
When we get to the point where we finally actually review Extreme Gong, we do it twice. And the first time is in Spanish. I will be heavily leaning on my Google Translate that night.
No estoy aquí.
El señor Harry Broadhurst no va a estar aquí con nosotros esta noche. Usted está escuchando una presentación especial de Life is Like a Game Show aquí en el W2M Network.
All right, back on track, guys. Although the fun little detour, admittedly comical. We'll go with it. Eric, The YouTube link
So
that
hold on. No. I got interrupted right before the best part. You're not cutting me off when I'm about to talk about the greatest game show of all time with the greatest New Yorker of all time.
We already are talking about the greatest game show of all time. Hello, deep dive. Price is Right.
I don't know. I mean, technically, he just conceded, so that means we get better product placement.
That might mean we need a new bracket.
No, the bracket Rancid Randy has been fired from the W2M Network after the non-inclusion of Talladega Nights in the greatest sports movie of all time bracket last week.
We will be coming for you, Rancid Randy.
Continuing on before our little sidebar there.
Drew Carey's a Buddhist anyway, going back.
Apparently, Drew Carey is also very smart to the point where he won $500,000 on Who Wants to Be a Millionaire playing for the Ohio Library Foundation. He later went on. He won an additional $32,000 on the second Celebrity Millionaire. One of, if I remember correctly, it was like 2 or 3 celebrities that played twice, making him one of the biggest winning contestants on Millionaire who didn't win the top prize.
Curiosity, was the second one still Regis, or was that Meredith Vieira?
No, that they were all Regis.
Both were Regis? Okay. I'll have to see if I can't find his celebrity appearance on YouTube as well. Speaking of YouTube.
See, I will acknowledge Vieira's existence, but I don't like it. Anything past Vieira, anything Vieira clock game and onward does not exist to me. Just like Leslie Jones Supermarket Sweep does not exist.
Look, you can explain your hatred for particular hosts of that show in 25 words or less on another episode.
Bravo, sir. Give yourself a monkey for that one.
You throw me a full toss, I'm gonna hit it for 6. Okay, this is how I roll.
6 runs.
Speaking of, I hope that they don't have weather like we're having currently later on this evening.
Just as a heads up, speaking of YouTube, the YouTube link that I sent in the private chat that everybody will see in the show description is the Kevin Pollak Chat Show with Drew Carey that I mentioned earlier.
Carey's World Poker Tour winnings went to the Cleveland Public Library charity. And in 2007, he offered to donate up to $100,000 and $10,000 increments to the Mooch Mirnick Memorial Fund. If anybody could beat him at FIFA Soccer 07 for the Xbox 360, he dared 5 players from the U.S. men's and women's national teams to compete against him. He ended up donating $100,000 anyway, plus $60,000 for losing 2 games out of the 6 games he played.
Does it say who beat him?
No, unfortunately.
Oh.
In October of 2009, he made a bid of $25,000 in a charity auction for the @Drew Twitter account. He later increased his offer to $100,000 if the number of followers on his then account @DrewFromTV reached 100K by the end of the auction. He then said on an interview with CBS News that he would donate $1 million to the Lance Armstrong Live Strong Foundation if his follower count reached 1 million by the end of 2009.
You mean he would donate $1 million?
Yeah, and how well
we'll be coming back to that $1 million in a few minutes, by the way.
Cool. We don't get to use that reference often enough on this show.
Another of Carey's offers to contribute to helping others came in September 2014. He promised $10,000 to help find the perpetrators of a. On second thought, I'm gonna
Yeah, I was about to say. Yeah,
Reading the rest of that sentence where
I know the story you're referring to. Best to avoid that one on air.
Yeah, one of two that we
he
ain't
offered
touching.
$10,000 reward for a very heinous crime. That
Indeed.
was then very quickly matched by several other celebrities.
Real quick, I have a question. I've got a question. Thank you. Has he ever offered a $23,743 reward?
That is too oddly specific for me to not say no, because I'm sure you know something that I don't.
Oh,
We'll get to it a little bit. We'll get to it a little bit later in the show. Dun dun dun.
Wait. If you're gonna do that,
dramatic reverb.
Now, also, very notably, I have to note it because we're talking about Drew Carey a little bit here. It's not the focus of the show tonight, but it is of note. Price is Right is not Drew Carey's first game show hosting foray.
Again, mention of blowing loads early.
John knows the answer to this, so he's going to have to recuse himself. Eric or Harry, do you know the game show that Drew Carey hosted before he got the gig with Price?
It was in the greatest game show of all time tournament.
Damn right it was.
I mentioned it on here in the pun.
He talks about it on the Kevin Pollak thing as well, that he had recorded the pilot for this when he was offered the job at Price is Right. Power of 10.
Power of 10, yep. All right, so that is the background biography of Mr. One Drew Allison Carey, the current host of The Price is Right, who has been serving as the current host of The Price is Right for a little over 15 years now. I cannot believe that it's actually been that long.
Believe it. Man, I'm old.
So there's kind of an elephant sitting in the room that we need to get to at some point.
I think we might be, yeah.
There's a couple.
So if I could request the setup clip first. This is a Bob Barker Euro clip, fair warning.
Are we going into this right now? I thought that we were going to do do the Richfield's George Gray thing first.
I think it might be better to talk about this first because this is going to take a while.
Yeah, I think I was kind of wanting to segue into perfect bid.
Okay, so then we'll save Richfields and George Gray for a little bit later then. All right.
There's a lot more to talk about. Actually, before we get to perfect bid, while John's, getting all the stuff set up for that, because I thought we had it already. A big notable difference that I will say between Bob Barker's run of The Price is Right and now Drew Carey's is, and it's evidenced by what I've put into the intro today. And I talked about at the very top of the show. Drew Carey has been a lot more, I guess, for lack of a better term, you can say adventurous with the show. There's a lot more consistent theme weeks and times of year. We are pretty much almost minus, COVID throwing some wrenches into the mix here. We have gotten an April Fool's special and a Halloween special every year, complete with costuming and gags and gimmicks and the whole 9 yards. I mean, for crying out loud, most notably 2014, Craig Ferguson, the host of The Late Late Show, and Drew Carey's former boss on his sitcom, The Drew Carey Show, switched places. Drew went and hosted his talk show for the night.
And their announcers included.
Yeah, the announcers, the models, everything included. They switched almost the entire crew. Yeah, no, I've watched clips of the Drew Carey. In fact, I can probably pull one up here. If you gave me a moment.
In the meantime, while you're pulling up that,
But
the Barker setup is ready.
I'm sitting here watching clips from the Craig Ferguson hosted Price is Right April Fool's special, and the people are freaking hugging the pantomime horse. Secretariat. They're literally just like they would go and run up and hug Bob Barker or Drew Carey and like just go crazy when they win. They're literally running up and it's a fucking horse.
So this gives me a question. I don't have a formal question here, but this leads me to wonder. Did they, while milling the line for Price is Right, actually funnel those people in the Drew Carey show and funnel the people who were there to watch the Drew Carey show into the audience of the Price is Right that day?
I don't think so. I think that would be a little bit too deceptive on CBS's part.
That would have been awesome to do, though.
I think they might have offered them tickets to both tapings. Right? Like
that would make more sense.
Yeah, like it's like, okay, if you were here for Drew and you're not going to get to see Drew because Craig's hosting, we'll give you a ticket to go see Drew do us basically a 1 hour stand-up special almost.
And vice versa.
But I don't think people are going to leave the Price is Right just because it was Drew Carey. In fact, I know people knew about it to at least some extent prior to, because one of the contestants actually had I think it was like Kiss Me Craig shirt or something to that effect on. So they knew that Craig would be the host that day. Even if it was extremely short notice, it was definitely known to some degree.
Gentlemen.
But
Harry Brothers will be muted tonight.
There we go.
I do apologize for having to step away for a few seconds. I had a phone call I had to take. All right. Yeah, the thing about the Ferguson hosting the episode of The Price is Right is I would imagine that episode of The Price is Right is available on YouTube if people search for it. I know for a fact.
No, it isn't.
It's not on YouTube.
Pieces in the past, it may have gotten pulled.
Fremantle seems to have a hard-on for that specific episode and will not let it exist in its entirety on YouTube. There is a channel that has a couple of the pricing games and the showcases, but it does not contain the full episode.
Well, I know for a fact that the episode of The Late Late Show that Drew Carey hosted.
Yeah, no, that was perfectly fine. Like,
is on YouTube.
Worldwide Pants, which is the company that controls the rights to, that stuff, to Late Late Show and Late Show with David Letterman, they don't give a shit. But Fremantle's got a hard-on for some reason for the 2014 episode, or the 2014 April Fool's episode, because every time I see it go up, it's down almost instantly. And the few places that I have tried to find it, yeah. I know there's a thing on the screen there.
I was just about to read it. Patrick chiming in. Patrick's a huge soccer fan. Going back to the FIFA charity games, I couldn't find the outcomes of all of the matches, but he definitely played Casey Keller, who was the U.S. men's goaltender, Hope Solo, who was the U.S. women's goaltender, and Taylor, what are we doing, Twellman?
Keeper. They're goalkeepers in soccer, but yes.
I don't feel good.
I'm not getting involved in this fight.
And on that note, can we head back to 1980 for a moment for a clip?
Indeed, we can.
All right, before we do that, I do have the.
Yeah, let's set this up properly.
I have a clip, real quick from
You can still share or screen share on your end as well. I left that open.
Move over. Fine, I'll do it that way.
I feel like my clip got preempted by news.
500. All right. Mark. $1,000. $1,000. All right, Mark.
651.
651, Paula. All right. Let me have a look at the actual retail price. Is $892. Paula, that's you. Hey, okay, thanks. Yeah, Mom. She's here, Mom. Are you all right, Paula?
Yes.
All right.
Part of me really wishes they would have gave
let's
the
try
show
and
to
find
Craig
out what you were so
Ferguson.
excited about. What are you going to be playing for?
A power toolkit. A trip to Palm Springs. And a
Race game?
First, this cordless kit includes a variable
Can't be. Only 3 prizes.
2 saws, 1 chainsaw, and a 4-position flashlight. Second, you and a guest will ride round trip in a chauffeured limousine from Los Angeles to Palm Springs for a 6-night stay in a pool view king room at the Riviera Palm Springs, a swanky palm-shaded oasis with sparkling pools and private cabanas. Plus, enjoy 1 dinner and a round of golf. Third, this front-loading washer offers a 20-minute quick wash option, and the ultra-capacity dryer reduces energy use by up to 35%. And I think I dated him. And there's one more. It's a new truck.
And there's the horse.
It's the Toyota Tacoma regular cab 4x2 truck. Comes equipped with a 2.7-liter engine, 4-speed automatic transmission, and sliding rear window. It's the Toyota Tacoma.
It's just 2 interns.
More or less. Here's what I was going to say. Here's the price. Is it more or less? And what we do is you have to win this prize in order to move on to that prize. You have to win that prize to move on to that prize. And if you win that prize, you move on to the new truck. All right? All right. Okay, the set of tools, $2,000. More or less?
Less.
You don't get a monkey for that, John. That's called a gimme.
Yes! The actual price is $1,500. Yes! Let's move on. All
Somebody might want to suggest decaf to Ferguson.
More or less, 2,500.
More.
Please, more.
More,
Please.
Okay, more. It is more. Oh, man. Yeah.
Palm Springs expensive as fuck.
$975. You're going to trip to Palm Springs. You're going to set of tools. I know you're going to enjoy that. Let's move on to the washer and dryer. Come on. All right. More or less, 2,600. More or less?
Sure.
More or less?
Less.
Less? Less? Is it less? It's less! Oh, wow! Wow! Let's see the actual reading right. 2198. Let's go on and win you that truck. Come on! All right. You ready?
Yes.
Ready. Now here's the deal. You get to keep all these things except for the skeleton. The skeleton is mine. You get to keep all of these things no matter what happens here. But I'm going to ask you, is this truck worth more or less than $20,500?
Less.
Less. Less.
It was a 4x2.
Come on, let's go. Yeah, come on, get on in. Yeah, hug the horse. You gotta do horse too. I'm keeping the horse. Get in there, enjoy it. Look at that. You'll be able to take your presents. You can take all your stuff home. The actual retail price, of course, is $19,775. We'll be right back.
Craig did bring a good energy on that show.
Like I said, I love how they go and they hug the fucking horse, man.
All right, so
Now,
let me try again. Back to 1980 or not yet?
Yeah, let's go back to. Wait a minute. Why are we going back to 1980? Do we really have to?
Record at the time.
Okay, we can talk about the record at the time.
Here.
Since someone will mention trying to go into the hot tub time machine, we have to take at least one trip.
I'd rather be pulling a Roger Dobkowitz here by going into the record book than a Mike Richards.
Oh, we're getting to him. We're getting to him in a little bit here. And I mean, very short bit here.
You are it, Sabrina. And Orville, you are the runner-up. Now, each of you will have a showcase of beautiful prizes to bid on, and the one of you who bids closer to the retail price of your own showcase without going over will win the showcase. However, if you are the winner, and you are less than $100 away from the retail price of your own showcase, we will have the pleasure of presenting you both showcases. And Sabrina, as the top winner, you may bid on the first showcase, or you may pass the first showcase to Orville and bid on the second. Orville, Sabrina, look at showcase number 1. Your showcase contains something for every room in the house.
Typical for back then.
And first, for the living room, it's modular sofa. From Barcalonger, the fabulous new concept in modular furniture called the Living End. Both end pieces open to give you 2 luxurious reclining chairs.
Barcalonger. Haven't heard of that brand since basketball.
And next, for the game room, a home soda fountain. From GA Systems Incorporated, a home soda fountain. Everything you need to dispense your favorite soda, syrups plus carbonated water with the GA Systems.
I totally rock one of those.
And
Ditto.
This refrigerator freezer.
Pat with the John level pun, Bob Barker Lounger.
I approve.
Of course you would.
And finally, for the family room, an unusual cocktail.
You're fired, Ketsa.
It isn't how you play the game, it's what you play it on. And this is the ultimate, covered in genuine goat skin. When closed, it's the stunning cocktail table open, and you're ready for a game of backgammon. And the showcase can be.
I could use a table like that.
Right is right. Sabrina, does this showcase belong to
All right, so John's disqualified because he's obviously seen this clip.
No.
This is your showcase.
I know the result and how close, but I don't know who does it.
Are we not doing the play at home edition here?
You can handle it, Orville.
Well, Pat, like that means anything. Sean already did that once. Well, send your hate mail to Mr. Hate Mail himself at s.garmer@gmail.com.
Patrick actually used to co-host a podcast here on the W2M Network with me.
I know.
Don't hiss and boo. I think
But Brian and John don't.
Now, Sabrina, this
I know more than you think, Harry.
Your showcase contains all of the prizes mentioned in our salute to famous hills.
I've been read in on the network's history.
Hill is Blueberry Hill, sung by Fats Domino. And here's the
Wrestling and rap was included in the network's history?
shows this new stereo.
Cool.
I went deep.
This record is one of Fats Domino's great
Apparently.
hits and will probably become a real collector's record. Also, the stereo.
No comment. Don't start your chuckling over there, Chuckles.
I wasn't gonna until you mentioned Chuckles.
Our next hill is the famous Beverly Hills, Los Angeles. And you'll find out more about Beverly Hills firsthand with this gift certificate for $1,000 to Gucci.
Very unusual for them to do a gift certificate or cash in that era.
Not necessarily. They also did gold as well.
When they did gold or cash, they were low budget, and you knew they were low budget. Because they would go for literally the 2-car minimum.
Yep. Yeah, Pat, you're right. Them Fats Domino albums.
Apparently, Pat found his thrill up on Blueberry Hill.
This is a good showcase.
3 trips? Impressive. 2 trips.
This was the era where showcases were not structured to where they were towards the middle to end of Bob Barker's run, where it was pretty much 3 to 4 and done. This was the time where you could easily see like 7 prizes in a showcase.
Oh, and I agree. That second showcase smoked the first one.
$56.
$5,600 is her bid on that showcase. Orville bid $5,000 on his. Which one of these contestants is bid closer to the retail price? We'll find out in a moment. Right now, let's see this.
Introducing the instant body
makeover.
I have
Yeah,
This is original VHS here.
Yeah, no shit, Sherlock. I'm going to have us full screen as I fast forward. Now, granted, this isn't going to be like the one incident with the Australian rules football game that I saw, which I'm going to leave it at that.
Dead.
Time index you want coming back is 58:21.
Super Decade, and then Match Game.
Match game. Dumb Dora was so dumb.
Sorry,
How dumb was she?
$1,035 for a difference of $4,035.
Whoa. For that every room, that was $9,000 back then.
That was $9,000 every room.
Ever living fuck. Ever living fuck. I know.
Going over to win your showcase. You gave us a bid of $5,600, and the actual retail price of your showcase is $5,602. $2.
Yeah, and winning $21,000 back in that day was no joke.
Eric, I'm gonna need you to do some math here. $21,000 and $1,980 adjusted for inflation.
I gotta give me a moment.
Good old inflation calculator. We use it often around here.
I'm going to say off the top of my head.
Oh, was it 21,489?
21,419. I'd say anywhere from triple to quadruple.
I would say probably about $75,000.
80.
Excuse me.
Who's close to not going over?
29,148. What you said, right? 29,148.
No, 21,419.
21,419.
I think Brian might be slightly numerically dyslexic.
No, I just have a very bad short-term memory.
And the year is 1980.
There's also that possible.
$21,419 in 1980 is worth $73,748.94.
Oh, I'm over by $2,000. Oh, I'm over by $2,000.
If we were playing the range game, I would have been right. I said between triple and quadruple. It's almost smack dab in the middle.
Anyways, that was the record at the time. Segway.
Almost, Pat. Almost. A little over half the price.
Yeah, the Price is Right did that every so often to like try to dissuade people from always passing the first showcase.
More to the point here. How the hell is a trip overseas back then less than the cost of that game room?
Air travel wasn't the same back in 1980.
Very unregulated, which meant very cheap.
And planes falling out of the sky.
Yeah. Also, probably the dollar was very strong back then internationally.
That's fair too. Yeah, I didn't think about that.
Because that
all right, so we show you. We show you. We show you that clip to talk about the story of Terry Neese,
Do we have the other? Do we have the modern clip? Please tell me somebody queued up the modern clip.
Wow, where did these crickets come from all of a sudden?
Of course, which is why I'm already like 3 steps ahead of you guys and typing it up. Please go to
Well,
the
that's
thingy
why I was
majiggy.
giving everybody.
There we go. So yes, Harry, not to steal your thunder, but I don't want to go. You're saying something that's going a little bit too far ahead. At the moment.
So we're just going to show the Terry. We're showing the Terry part.
So,
first. Gotcha.
We show you that clip to set up this clip.
Oh, okay.
All right, welcome back, everybody. Sharon.
Oh, it doesn't. Hold on. Sorry.
And there's your 23.
Exit out for a second. I want the actual. There's the full. I want that full show.
South Africa, courtesy of award-winning South African Airways, offering the.
There comes passing on to Terry.
I said exit out of me.
Slight volume warning to our friends using headphones.
I'll drop the volume.
This one's a little bit louder than the previous one was. I don't know if you guys actually saw the number in the. I don't know if you guys actually saw the number in the showcase there. That was where the reference to Drew Carey earlier came from.
I knew that.
Again,
I was just going to say, I actually did my homework on this episode.
Well, of course. And just to think, when you can get through this, doing your homework for the month of May won't be nearly as bad. And you perfectly
Yes, it will, because you gave. Yes, it will, because you gave me like 6 fucking things to watch for the month of May.
Oh yeah, no, you're screwed for Pressure Luck month. All right, I'm ready to go.
I mean, here you got 23,743. Soon you have a 6-digit number to worry about.
1, 2, 4.
110
237.
I was over again.
All right, welcome back, everybody. Here with Terry and Sharon. Sharon, here's
Pat, month of May.
Sharon, our models have really worked
We're
hard
dedicating
today,
a whole
so we're
episode
giving
to
them this
them.
showcase off. We're actually going to let them watch our audience members show you your prizes. And now, here's Liesl, ready to show you this new karaoke system. The Voco Pro Sonic Station, an all-in-one surround sound tower that plays MP3s, DVDs, CDs, and karaoke. The sleek design makes it a stylish addition to any room with an unbelievable sound from Voco Pro.
If she's a looker, I'll give them that.
Next, Joseph was just dying to model.
At least they picked a looker out of the audience.
Pool table.
I do like a good pool table.
A traditional papered frame gives this billiards table from Golden West Billiards a clean and distinctive look. Accessory package included. And Karen was just chomping at the bit to show off this brand new trailer. Trailer company's call-out telescoping travel trailer. This versatile 17-foot trailer lowers and raises in seconds. It features an overhead bunk, air conditioning, and 12-foot awning. So thanks, guys. A karaoke machine and pool table, a trailer, and 3 rested models. Things couldn't be better.
They totally snubbed the
Sharon,
guy.
What do you say? You want to bid on that or pass it on to Terry?
I like that trailer.
How big is the trailer?
I'm going to go ahead and pass it.
17 foot, Drew.
17 foot. She's passing it on to Terry. Terry, what do you bid for all that? It would have been an 18-foot trailer. She might have bid on it. But it was only a 17-foot.
$23,743.
$23,743. Wow. That's a very exact bid. Good luck. Sharon, here's your showcase.
Sharon, you are showing.
If
No one
only.
was looking directly at one place in that audience.
All right, take me off for a second. All right, put me back up.
All right, welcome back, everybody. Sharon did all those trips around the world. 4 big trips.
Basically, what Brian Pause for a second.
33,500.
Basically, what Brian just said is fuck your showcase, Sharon.
$25. Actual retail price, $31,019. Difference of $494.
Wow.
Terry.
Was this the 250 era or the 500 era?
Still $250.
Yep.
Actual retail price, $23,743.
500 was only on prime time.
You got
$1
to
million
$1
for packaging.
And notice, I'm glad that you went ahead and you got back to that, because pay special attention to the delivery of this news.
I mean, we're going to talk about this in depth here, and this is not going to be the first time. Oh, yeah, he 100% knew, and we're going to get into that in a minute.
Oh, yeah.
Wow.
Terry. Yeah, the trailer, jukebox, bid $23,743. Actual retail price, $23,743. You got it right on the nose. You win both showcases. Hasn't happened since 72 or 73. Right on the nose. You won $56,437 for the prizes today. Folks, help control the pet population. Don't forget to get your pet spayed or neutered. See you next time on Price is Right. Bye-bye.
According to all the research that I could do, and I did a lot.
All right, go ahead
of
and pull the
research
clip.
on this one. I did a lot of research on this one. I believe that $2 was the record at the time.
It was.
It was, because
I did not find that until the month we were actually doing the prices right here on Life's Like Game Show.
So because it broke the previous record, which was $4, and that was
from
even
the premiere in 72.
Stepping on people's
2,500 versus
finishes. A
2,504.
Jonathan Nielsen exclusive.
Yeah, that was a 2,504 versus a 2,500 bid. $4. And there was a modern era 5 too, so a lot of single digiters, but that's the exacto.
Yeah, there's.
Right.
Well, I was going to say he wasn't entirely stepping on my finish, because what I was going to say was it was even before when you had the institution of the $100 window. Yes, he's correct. That was from the premiere.
So no double showcase on the $4 bid then?
Nope.
Well, ain't that some shit? All right, Brian, are you okay over there?
Yeah, I'm trying to queue up a clip.
Okay, so while he's working on queuing up a clip there. Okay, so Patrick actually commented there, it's like he knew. We'll get into the documentary more specifically here in a few moments. I'm sure Brian's going to go about this at length there. Carey has said on multiple occasions when he's talked about this that he was pulled aside before the reveal by the executive producer at the time. It was a woman, I forget the woman's, Kathy something or other.
Kathy Fingers Greco.
Kathy Greco, and was told that we have a problem. And one of the things
I got my clip, which is actually going to explain exactly what you're saying. So let's go to the clip.
All right,
we now show an excerpt from something we will definitely be talking about at length here. Perfect Bid, the contestant who knew too much.
Do me a favor, kill the closed captioning.
But the second Terry made that bid, I saw Kathy Greco, who is now one of the producers. She's got a clipboard. She's just standing there and watching.
On your end or
and
not?
she just turned and walked.
Audio only.
Area that was.
I think the screen.
Great
is
job,
blacked
John.
out.
You caused it to bork.
Just clicking a closed caption button caused it to bork?
Apparently that caused YouTube to bork, yes.
No, because I saw the closed captioning that was already there.
I think it's because of the fact that it's a movie with ads, on the show, it blacks out when you try to screen share it.
That's a thing on here.
Because
Yeah,
I've had that problem. I've had that problem with videos on YouTube when I've been on my video calls with Eva too, watching shows with her.
Not to mention the fact that we actually dealt with something similar way back when Harry and I did our alternate commentary. Turned out to be the premiere for the Broadhurst Walk-In Sports Report, Sports in Black and White, which this week will be available Wednesday.
Okay, give me like to stall for like 2 minutes for me then, and I'll have this another way.
Well, while you were doing that, it is about that time. It's actually well past that time to remind everybody. Wait, what? Go. Yes.
Thank you. You are listening to Life is Like a Game Show, a presentation of the W2M Network online at W2Mnet.com. In addition, you can find us on all of your favorite podcast listening services: iTunes, iHeartRadio, Stitcher, Spreaker, Podbean, CastBox, Apple Pod, Google Pod. Rate and review us 5 stars on Spotify. Check us out on Overcast and watch us in video format on Facebook, Twitch, Twitter, and YouTube.
You did mention iHeartRadio, didn't you?
I did. It's one of my first ones.
Mwah!
iTunes, iHeartRadio.
There you go.
And I managed to get that entire plug off in about 30 seconds.
Also,
Shut up, Watkins.
I am trying so hard.
What was that, Nielsen?
Also, be sure to check out our Discord. Link in the places where you find links.
Oh, yeah, I did forget that. Thank you, Jonathan. I appreciate it. And if you're interested, all of the content that we are giving you guys tonight, talking about the contestant who knew too much, the perfect bid, which is what we're about to get into, the Kevin Pollak Chat Show with Drew Carey, and I think there's a few other clips and other assortia that we will be linking in the show description as well, so that you too can do your own deep dive into the Drew Carey era of The Price is Right, this week's presentation of Life is Like a Game Show. You good over there, Brian?
Please hold. I'm being resourceful.
Okay.
So
He is working
where we're
on.
going to next week.
Well, yeah. Well, why don't we go ahead and talk about what's the upcoming schedule here on Life is Like a Game Show while he's working on that real
There's a couple
quick.
of syndicated and nighttime specials of The Price is Right. Those are going to be our focus next week. We're talking about Dennis James in the 70s. We're going to go into Tom Kennedy in 1985. We're going to talk about this thing in 1994 that I'm not particularly much of a fan of, but the man above me very much is. And these things called $1 Million specials, along with Salute to the Troops.
$1 Million Spectacular.
If you're talking about me, I can't hear you. I've got loud audio in my ears.
Oh, we know.
The $1 Million Spectaculars.
Yes.
And we're going to bring it. Well, I was going to say, we're going to bring it full circle because what we tried to do with the original deep dive, it happened to be during the 50th anniversary special. Needless to say, that train wreck will not be repeated, as we will include that properly in the specials for next week.
The 50th
So I need to watch the 50th anniversary episode. I need to go back and watch the 50th anniversary episode. Gotcha. All right. In 2 weeks' time, it will be the Clip Show meets The Price is Right, as we delve into things that we may have missed, important clips along the timeline, various additional resources of different games that we've enjoyed over the years. We also have our game breakdown as well. We're not going to go into every game, but I'm going to prepare you gentlemen ahead of time with this question. What are your 5 most favorite pricing games? What are your 5 least favorite pricing games?
The most favorite isn't going to be that bad for me. Least favorite, though, surprisingly enough, that's going to be tough.
I got 2 words for you. Professor Price.
Well,
okay, ready to go. Back
And
on
I actually liked Professor Price, but okay. Are you ready over there, Mr. Espinoza?
Yes.
Then we now return things to your host for the week, Brian Espinoza, as we delve into the perfect bid.
Made that bid. I saw Kathy Greco,
Are you
who is
kidding
now
me?
one of the producers. She's got a clipboard. She's
This
just
was
standing
working
there
in the
watching,
preview 30
and she
seconds
just
ago.
turned and walked over to this.
Apparently, the audio from the perfect bid.
Yeah, no, it's a similar thing, and it goes across a lot of platforms because, again, ESPN, when we did the alternate commentary,
Area that was called the
I ran into the same
where the,
issue.
kind of the production people sat behind this.
Anyway,
I have been a mathematics teacher.
So yes, it's the screen sharing, so you're gonna have to do it audio only.
No, I have yet another way I can get around this.
Are you talking about your tools of the trade that we've discussed? I'm gonna
Well,
assume that's a yes.
He just went man down, so I'm assuming that he is currently working on his potential attempts in order to do that. What do you have against? Okay, you know what?
So,
we have to stall
Speaking
until
of pricing games that I'm particularly fond of, 3 Strikes.
I like 3 Strikes, but I feel like it's one of the more difficult games.
Well, Brian,
that could be another conversation.
Reach into the bag for a third pull, and the first 2 pulls did not go over so well.
Doesn't even have any of the digits of the car on the board.
Okay, we're being yelled at by the host to keep it on topic, so we will. Mm-hmm. All right, we'll talk about the contestant that you guys saw, and I'm going to try to talk my way through this. I mean, I feel like we're probably going to have to reset it in order to be able to go back to the clips and everything anyway, but that's just me. But anyway. All right, back to it. The contestant that you just saw, his name is Terry Nice. TerryNiss. The $23,743 perfect showcase bid. So, Terry was not the one who actually came up with that number. And Terry will tell you in an interview that does air during the Perfect Bid documentary that we are currently trying to be able to show you guys the video footage of, that he thought of the numbers on his own. There is proven evidence that that is not the case. Terry Nice is a weasel.
They're good. I have a clip to evidence what went on during the Perfect Bid, but a little bit earlier. Again, this is a Bob Barker era clip that sort of sets it up. Contestants with very good memories.
Now, before I go ahead and show this, we going through the whole spiel?
We'll go through this until Brian's ready.
All right.
I'm not ready. I'm not ready.
I will let you. I will.
Lovely Shane has for you folks to bid on. It's a fun new motor scooter.
Is this what I think it is?
A motor scooter from Honda, the Elite 80 with its 80.
Pause for a second, real quick.
It has plenty of power.
Give me a quick pause.
Go ahead.
Is this what I think it is with Theodore in the audience?
Not Theodore, no. Pay attention to the second contestant in contestants row.
Okay.
It's easy to handle for a super fun ride, and you get to bid on this first Barbara.
$1,700.
$1,700, Michael.
Exactly, $2,148.
His bid is $2,148. That's an interesting bid. How did you settle on $2,148?
I seen that on there last week, and that was the exact price. I know that. I watch you every day.
He is a loyal friend and true.
Yes.
Now, you were laughing and you didn't hear what else he said. He says he watches every day. Now, if he wins this, you'll see that loyalty to this show paid off. What do you
Sure
think,
does.
Scott? Why bid it all? He has the exact price.
Well, what are the bids so far?
The bids so far are $1,700 and $2,148.
$1,800.
$1,800, Noel.
$1,500.
$1,500 for her. Now wait a minute.
Wait just a darn minute.
Michael is already leaping around down there. He says he's got it. Now we'll just find out whether you got it or not. We have a lot of scooters, you know.
You notice the Regis stall by Bob here.
2,148. You got it exactly right.
You'll wonder where he learned it from.
You got it exactly right.
The OG Bob Barker.
You got it
Now,
exactly right.
watch this.
I've waited 31 years for this moment. It's an honor, sir.
Well, it's an honor to have you on the show, and thank you for your loyalty, and I'm delighted that you got that price exactly
He wants to
right.
play hole in one, apparently.
Oh, he's $500. That's right.
It's like, man, you're
Pay
gonna
me.
give me more money?
Pay me more money.
What?
Let's not forget that.
Oh, I beg your pardon. I beg your pardon. You see, I was so excited about your answer and everything that I just temporarily forgot. Would you settle for 4?
Well, you can owe me one.
No. I want to give you all
I'll
5.
be cheap
And I wanna
today.
give you all of this as well.
A lovely table with side chairs, an elegant grandfather clock, and an electric fire.
He's playing race game.
First, Michael.
Buy or sell.
The one with,
No, look at the podiums. Buy or sell.
oh, where you have to end up in the positives to win the prizes?
An elegant grandfather clock from
Okay.
Clocks. This elegant
Race
grandfather
game is the
clock
one
for
where they
Alex
have the
J.
4
Collection
price
from
tags and you have to like
with an
match the price tags to the correct price, correct? Okay.
Bingo.
Okay.
Similar staging.
Fireplace.
Yeah, well, that's why I thought it was race game because, but you're right.
Okay.
Race.
So Rod's doing his read. I need it quiet once Rod's done with the read.
Now, his loyalty goes
Oh, keep going.
Yes, keep going.
even beyond what we might have imagined. You live where?
Statesville, North Carolina.
And you flew out here
Me and a friend of mine, we flew out here yesterday.
just for the show.
For the show and flying back tomorrow.
You are a loyal friend and
Quite
true.
the accent on
Now,
old
I
boy
don't
right
have to
there.
Tell you how to play this game, but let me just remind any viewer who hasn't seen it recently that he should buy if he thinks the price
him with
is
the
low.
loyal
He
friend
should
and true,
sell
too.
If you think the price is high. Now, Michael, on the dinette set, a price of 1970. What?
Bye.
Buy that. The clock.
Let 'em-
$5.75.
One question. What's the brand name of the clock?
The brand name of the clock, Rod. Do we
Brand
have it?
name of the clock. It's an elegant from Ridgeway. It's from Ridgeway.
Let's
Buy the clock.
and sell the fireplace.
Sell the fireplace at $26.50. All right.
Can you let
Now,
Bob
you know
finish,
the
guy?
story. If
Jesus.
you make a few dollars, you get
Nope.
the money and
that good?
all three prizes. $19.75. Buy. What's the price?
Bring our
Good
host
buy.
back.
You made $300. $300. And we go to the clock. $25.75. Buy. The price is. You got another $500. Now you're up to $800 profit.
I was hoping I would
Does he
owe
get
you
the
money
cash
at the
as
end of
well?
the game.
You were hoping
Yes.
what?
I wouldn't owe
Mhm.
you money at the end of
No,
the game.
you don't owe us money unless you lose more than $800 on this.
That's $21.50.
Rewind that a little bit, please.
Makes me
Yep.
I
feel
missed it.
completely-
All right, I gotta go.
This is what it's all about right here.
$500. Now you're up to $800 profit.
I was hoping I wouldn't owe you money at the end of the game.
You were hoping what?
I wouldn't owe you money at the end of
No,
the game.
you don't owe us money unless you lose more than $800 on this.
That's $21.50.
You know, this guy makes me feel completely useless up here.
No, there'll always be a use for you, Bob.
Well, don't tell me what it is.
Oh.
Michael, there will be no one more disappointed than I if you don't make a lot of money on this. Fireplace, $26.50. Sell. What's the price? $17.50. He made $900. You've won $1,700.
I think he called that last price correctly.
Is that the biggest winner ever in this?
No, he said it was
that
$21.50.
is the biggest cash winner ever in this game, and he deserves it. And we'll have our first showcase show.
All right, so I have a question about this game real quick, and then we can go back into our conversation on Perfect Bid. Do you get the prizes as well, or just the cash difference?
Cash and prizes.
Ooh, fancy. Okay.
So the issue with the Price is Right is they're environmentally friendly. They recycle.
Reduce, reuse, recycle.
Definitely reuse over and over and over again. Dun, dun, dun.
Dramatic reverb.
All right, Mr. Espinoza, the floor is yours.
Yeah, so I officially hate HDCP, and for those of you who work in the video industry, you know what that is.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this is what I was trying to warn you about.
Look, I'm very, very creative in how to get around certain things like HDCP, and I'm surprised that every single one of the methods that I just tried has spectacularly blown up in my face, because some of them are damn near foolproof.
I'm sorry, mathematicians who I took a graduate level class about coding and all the different stuff from video and how certain files come up certain ways. That's why I was.
Wait, who taught that one?
Dr. Dan.
Anyway.
Shout out to Dr. Dan Drybelbus. You the man.
I graded for him, legit. Also, yeah, seems we pulled 3 strikes today.
Yeah, we pulled 3 strikes indeed. So we cannot air clips from The Perfect Bid. However, it's available free on YouTube and Amazon Prime Video and a whole other slew of streaming services. You can go watch it yourself.
I suppose we could probably do audio excerpts, though.
Not the same.
Many have tried, all have failed.
The link to the YouTube version of The Perfect Bid, the contestant who knew too much, will be in the show description beneath you as you watch this episode.
So we were talking about how Drew Carey knew that Terry Nese hit the bid right on the nose, right? So Terry put his bid in, and he was the second one to put his bid in because, or actually, no, she passed.
She passed the showcase to him.
Yeah.
Yep.
So once she put her bid in, you know, all is well. But I swear, the second that and it even says it in the in that documentary, the second that he gave his bid, Fingers Greco walks over to the puppet booth, which is basically a backstage control area, producer control zone, where they keep all the standards and practices stuff like the prize list and all that stuff. They can also control all of the camera switching, and they see all of the camera monitors and stuff. She goes and just stares into a monitor and does not remove her eyes off of the screen for like 10 good minutes.
Not yet, Eric. Not yet. Image queued up.
But she puts a bid in, they go to commercial, and there is a full-on stop down. Like, not for those of you who we may have talked about this last week, but Price is Right taped true to air, right? Which basically means it's a 60-minute show. They taped in 60 minutes. They taped in real time what happened, what was on tape. There was very minimal editing done to the show.
The only time sorry, just to touch on that there, they talk about this in the documentary as well. The only time they would edit the show is if there was an issue setting up one of the pricing games in order to be played.
I mean, yeah, I'm not saying editing was unprecedented, but generally speaking, editing didn't happen.
It was rare. Damn rare.
The crew that worked on The Price is Right was amazing, to the point where if they knew that they had the minute and 22 seconds of a commercial break to get stuff in line for after the break, then they were on top of it.
Or even with Or Bob's return, when the crowd would let them go on, that would be one of those rare instances.
Yeah.
Excuse me.
Well, it's easy to make that up. You just play quicker pricing games in order to make up that time difference.
The pricing games were well balanced so that you had wiggle room in the schedule. If they were going to play a pricing game that they knew had the potential to go long, they would put shorter pricing games in to cover that gap. They would put harder to play pricing games in. But continuing on,
the only thing that could really
real quick,
jeopardize the show running over is a lot of ties and spinning of the wheel.
Real quick for me too. For example, one of my favorite pricing games is one of the potentially longest pricing games on the show, 10 Chances.
Yeah, that one can go a while.
So they pulled a stop down, which means everything stopped, right? Kathy Greco, which is one of the executive producers of the show. Actually, I don't know if she was executive producer yet, but she's definitely one of the senior producers of the show. Comes out with a clipboard in hand, motions for Drew to come over, and she points at the clipboard, and on it is a note written, "He got the perfect bid." And everybody is freaking out. Ted Slauson this is where I have to introduce Ted Slauson.
Cue still.
Ted Slauson, aka Theodore Slauson, was a mathematics assessment instructor.
I was just going to
reviewer as well.
I was just going to real quick, Slauson for anyone interested in looking him up.
We'll make sure it's in the description. Where was I? Oh, right. This is Ted Slauson. He recognized very early on as a kid that The Price is Right reused a lot of prizes. So much so that he built a Visual Basic 6 program.
Hey, it wasn't VB6. It was probably like a Q Basic back then.
No, it was
VB6. It was in VB6.
Somebody hasn't watched the documentary.
I did. It was just a long time ago, and something about writing code in VB6 to do game show stuff. I know nothing about that.
Is that what the program was called that he used in order to create his own little mini Price is Right game?
Oh no, please keep that share up. I have no idea what you're talking about with Visual Studio and Visual Basic 6.0.
So you're not a fail grammar after all? Okay.
Good choice. Continue.
It appears that he's looking for something.
You're looking for a still?
Y'all have gotten to know me pretty good by now on some of these things.
You have some pretty easy poker tells by now.
I feel like he might be going into the archives for your guys' game show run in order to find your Price is Right programming.
Damn, Harry's good.
You don't have a Price is Right.
Yes, we do.
I'm having...
Touche, Toby, touche.
If I could figure out where the hell it ended up.
I have to say I've been having an especially accomplished episode tonight. I've been on a pretty good roll.
Like I said, you think of some lotto numbers, share them with me on our private part of the Discord. I'll get you a 10% cut after taxes. What?
No, that's not it.
20 or bust, homie.
15 pre-tax off the top.
No, because I'm going to lose that 5% in taxes.
I thought we had it. Apparently, we do not.
Are you looking for this folder? Visual.
Yes.
All right. Where am I going?
I was just going to open up the project and show the project on screen. Because apparently I don't have that. I don't have that on over here on this machine unless it's. Yeah, I don't have that.
Apparently Nielsen doesn't have it either.
No, there's a lot that he has to click through. VB6 is old.
Issues with VB6 and Windows 10.
This is a programming language that was designed for Windows 95-98 operating system.
My first computer was a Windows 98.
For what was being worked on at the time, flip-flop.
Yes, he did something very similar to this. He made a program in Visual Basic 6 to help him keep track of the prizes.
Well, you either have to flip or flop or flip-flop.
Yes.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Very few options. It makes it easy to code.
Anyways, enough of the company trade secret confidential code information.
Rudimentary computer programming.
Very rudimentary.
In the case of that price, in the case of the Price is Right, yes. Other shows that the company has recreated, we're pushing Visual Basic to its absolute limits.
Hence, fail grammar. Trust me. Yeah, I said it. I was in the room.
Look, it's not as bad as you think it is.
Not now.
You, sir, are pressing your luck.
All right, but anyway,
not in May yet.
So I introduced to you Ted Slauson, a loyal friend and true of the show,
former contestant,
and eventual former contestant, having appeared on the show 23 times before he was picked as an audience member. He realizes that the show uses the same prizes over and over again. He creates this Visual Basic program. He also creates a DOS-based program that's like a mini Price is Right home game type thing. He can play Punch a Bunch. He can play One Bid, a couple of pricing games.
It started in DOS, eventually put the visuals on it.
He's a mathematical tutor and test assessment writer.
I think those buggers that insert company name here that I use a lot of their textbooks and software and whatnot that build all these standardized tests. Yeah, one of them. I don't like those people.
The man, like my two compatriots above me here, have a very good affinity to numbers.
Yeah.
Needless to say, the man becomes a walking encyclopedia on the Price is Right prizes. Give him a prize with the right options, he'll tell you exactly how much it cost. If there were multiple options, you couldn't stump him.
He was the Schwab of pricing games and such.
He did get stumped. He did get stumped a couple times, though, including on the show where Bob Barker chided him for it.
So did the Schwab. So yes, it fits.
He's like, and you see, Theodore, the producers backstage told me we do have a model of that prize that costs $72.18. However, we changed the options up on the prizes to fool loyal friends and true like you.
To which he was like, "Well played, Clark. Next time, Gadget."
Pretty much, he was literally like that. Gave me the wake-up call that I actually have to start paying attention to the prize descriptions.
He needed to step up his game.
And he needed to step up his game. Well,
and he did. Dun, dun, dun.
He did. He gets on. He wins his pricing game. Unfortunately, he gets bad luck at the wheel and he gets eliminated. So he leaves with a Berkeley recliner, $1,100, because he got the $1 bid, or he got the perfect one bid, and then he won $1,000 in his pricing game as well.
Punch a bunch, ironically enough.
Punch a bunch. Which he made the right decision. The first punch he gets was $1,000. He takes the money and runs, and everybody, the audience, everybody's like booing him because it's like, why do you take it? Why do you run on the first punch? And it goes $50, $25, or sorry, it goes $50, $100, $25, or something like that.
500, 250, 50.
And it's like, yep, he made the right call. So,
and you can see him in the documentary. You'll see him mouth towards the audience, "I told you so," once Bob reveals that final $50.
Unlike the guy who turned in 5,000, got the 10,000 on a different episode.
You mean me?
Sorry, Brian. Go ahead.
You mean me? The guy's name was Brian with a Y. You beat me.
Oh. Sorry, missed the reference. More on that week 5.
So
back to it.
He has his one and done, and you know, he gets to be really whatchamacallit. He has his moment with Holly because he loves Holly. He's got the shirt, "I'm here to kiss Holly, sorry Bob." He's got the whole shtick going. Holly's really nice with him. And Bob Barker retires. Drew Carey takes over. They announce new eligibility rules, where in the Bob Barker version, contestant eligibility was once you play, you're never eligible again in your life. It's one and done. Doesn't matter how long it's been between you playing. That's it.
This, I believe, was done in conjunction with the 40th anniversary where they did bring back some former contestants.
They changed things when Drew took over. And specifically when Mike Richards took over as the executive producer. All right. I'm going to be saying the name a lot. I don't need crossbones every time I say it.
Yeah, you do.
Roger Dobquitz had just recently been fired from the show. Ted goes on the show thinking, "Oh, okay, it's been over 10 years since my last appearance," which is what they revised the contestant eligibility requirements to. Is if you have been on the show, as long as it's been more than 10 years, you were re-eligible. Again, standard eligibility rules apply of you can't be related to anybody that works on the show. You can't work for Mark Goodson, Fremantle, CBS, etc., so on and so forth. Basically, you can't work or be related to anyone that might have any inkling of possible prior knowledge to what could happen on the show. Standard game show eligibility rules. So he goes to The Price is Right after kind of abandoning it for a few years, so to speak, and pursuing other hobbies because he already had his 15 minutes of fame, if you will. And he tries to get back on the show, and he's in line with Terry Neese and his wife, Linda. Terry ends up getting on the show, goes through, plays a perfect game, gets to the showcase, looks over at Ted. Ted told his wife the exact amount of the showcases. He's adding it up in his head while they're reading it off.
Greco's got her eyes open.
Greco had her eyes open because they knew, the Price is Right staff knew about Ted Theodore Slauson, right? There have been a few times where he had gotten alert, where he had made himself known, and not in the good way, to the Price is Right staff, including one time where he attended a taping of The Price is Right and ended up sitting next to Mark Goodson's secretary, who was a good friend of Fingers Greco, who had gotten tickets, VIP tickets to the show through her. And at one point in the broadcast, at one point in the taping, Fingers Greco motions over to the secretary saying, "Hey, I need you to look and check if this guy's cheating somehow."
Dun, dun, dun!
Because...
Sorry for the interruption.
Nobody on Price is Right staff could honestly believe that this guy was a pricing savant, if you will, and could remember the prices of, literally thousands upon thousands of prizes, not prices. Prices of prizes.
It's hard when you're one away like that in terms of letters and words.
No monkey.
I wasn't, yeah.
So fast forwarding, Ted had already told his wife, Linda, Terry's wife, Linda, not his wife. Ted is happily married. The price of his showcase, of Ted's showcase, or Terry's showcase, excuse me. Too many similar names and words here right now. He didn't want to attract that much attention to himself, so he was like signaling 24,000 or 23,000. What was it? 24,180 something.
23,743. He signaled 23,000.
So he's sitting there signaling 23,000. Like, I don't want to draw that much attention to myself. He kind of smartened up because he kind of also figured it from out in the past as well, where if he's in the studio, Dobquitz knew him. Bob Barker would recognize him when he saw him on tapings. Like, people knew who he was, and they tended to keep an eye on him, especially to make sure that he didn't violate one of the show's rules of telling people, "Hey, I memorized the prices. Just look at me when you get up on stage." It was actually a very strict rule they had in the lineup and in the studio for contestant taping.
Yup.
Or for contestants and audience members.
Yep, can't let them know you're a bandit.
And yes, Harry, like I said, Dobquitz had just recently been fired by the time Perfect Bid had come out. So he gets the Perfect Bid. They're in full stop down. The entire production staff is panicking. Drew Carey sitting there like, this guy must have cheated. We'll never probably. People backstage are like, oh, I don't know how we'll ever air this episode. There's no way. Standards and practices is getting called and getting, dragged into the studio. And it's a legitimate, 5-scale, like 5-alarm fire here. I say that as we get, apparently there's a wavelength working.
The dog with the coffee and the fire of "This is fine" meme was flashed on screen for a moment there.
But no, they're sitting there, and I think we may have a clip from Harry if he's got it queued up.
I don't have the clip queued up, but I specifically remember the conversation from when I watched the podcast. And again,
if we can cue up the clip. It's not. I think we can get away with that. Like it's not a YouTube movie, so it shouldn't get blocked by sharing.
I sent the link to Eric. My computer is kind of slowish when it comes to processing multiple videos.
I would need a specific timestamp because that's a very delightful, entertaining 2-hour podcast. Like this one right now.
Yeah, we've hit the 2-hour mark. You're listening to Life is Like a Game Show, a presentation of the W2M Network online at W2Mnet.com. In addition, you can find us on a multitude of different platforms, including iTunes, iHeartRadio. You guys know the spiel by now. We'll get into the full details of it all at the end of the show. Now back to your host, Brian Espinoza.
Yeah, so big stop down. Eventually they figure they have to come out, they have to end the show, right? So Drew Carey comes out, and as you saw in the clip, they give him the most deadpan. He gives the most deadpan, delivery ever of "you got it right on the nose." Price is Right does their investigating. They realize he hasn't broken any rules. He's a Michael Larson of sorts. We get more on that in May. And ironic that it's CBS.
The CBS eye is always watching.
Because
sometimes sometimes it misses what's right underneath it, though.
But hey, CBS cares. Too late, but CBS cares.
And they realize he won the stuff fair and square, and they give him the prizes. Terry Nese starts going and doing media and video and all sort of stuff, and he's claiming credit for it, does give zero credit to Slauson. So eventually Slauson comes out, and he makes this documentary, which truly explains what happened. All the way from, his tapings in the in the 80s and early 90s, all the way up to, that fateful 2000 day. And the Price is Right was going crazy because they thought this was an elaborate setup by friends of Roger Dobkowitz, who was recently unceremoniously sacked from the show in a very controversial fashion for, frankly, rookie executive producer Mike Richards, which ended up being the worst decision the Price is Right, CBS, and Sony could have ever made. Woo-hoo-hoo.
And there was a big bucket of Mortons in his hand after that.
But
he'd be salty, justifiably salty. Or salty.
You can't talk about Carey's run of The Price is Right without mentioning Terry Nese, The Perfect Bid, and to a lesser extent, Mike Richards. Mike Richards, the worst producer in Price is Right's history.
The worst producer game show history. What the hell are you smoking?
He ain't lying.
I'm not disagreeing with that. I'm just trying to limit the context of conversation to The Price is Right, because that's what we're talking about this week.
However, if you want to go back and listen to the infamous Mike Richards special, we did a whole episode about that. It is in the W2M Network archives.
I think it was January.
But Mike Richards was responsible. It was brought in by Fremantle and was responsible for Don't You Even.
I'm not.
Don't you even.
I'm not this time.
Because I know it wasn't Endemol, okay? But when you stand in front of William Shatner and he asks you a question and your mind goes blank.
I don't know the answer. I think the other team does have a pretty good answer for double the dollars.
Look, I didn't do this to you. You did this to you. Let it continue.
Ooh, a timestamp.
But yeah, no. you can't not talk about Carey's run without mentioning Perfect Bid, right? There's been a lot that's happened in the Carey run. I mean, he's been on the air for 15 years now. It's pretty much half of Barker's tenure. I mean, Barker went 35, 15 is 30, close to hell enough in my book.
Also enough for government work.
Close enough without going over. Eric, I take it you're putting that timestamp that Harry provided to use. Excellent.
But yeah, Mike Richards is, I honestly have to say, solely responsible for the tank in quality of The Price is Right. Thankfully, Evan Warfel, a longtime veteran staffer of The Price is Right, has recently taken the helm of show running the show, and I expect good things. She's done pretty good with COVID. I can't hold COVID against her because it's COVID. The show has definitely it's been affected by COVID. It's made some changes along with a lot of other game shows that are up and running right now. It does not feel the same the way they've had to do the audience love seat pod things.
I mean, it's better than what it was with everybody being off stage, though.
It's better than the no audience that they did for a while. That is
that's
true.
what I meant. Like people would come out individually as their names are called and then stand at the distance in order to be able to play the one bid.
I mean, they're still doing that, but I'm hoping they return to the traditional Studio 33 layout.
It'd be nice to have some new chairs, though.
I'm sure they're getting new chairs.
Maybe if not the end of this season, beginning of next.
I would say probably look out for that around September.
Yeah,
when the new season starts.
I'm almost willing to bet that they're going to put new seating in whenever they do go back to the traditional studio layout.
Mr. Watkins, were you able to pull up the link that I sent you?
Yes.
All right, so Brian kind of discussed.
Thing you sent him.
Brian just discussed the view from Theodore Slauson's perspective on everything that went down on the Perfect Bid. Here is Drew Carey's.
We gave away $3 million, and all of a sudden, like, hey, another $1 million spectacular.
But this Terry Nice fucks changed things up a little bit too.
Oh, that dude.
That dude who
he
bid
got the exact amount
to the penny,
right,
on both showcases.
Yeah, he won both showcases because he got his showcase on the right to the dollar.
Right, and somebody on a headset's got to be freaking out.
Well, we all thought something happened.
Right.
It's a long story.
Oh, I read almost a documentary about it.
The Inquirer, not the Inquirer, but the Esquire. It was Esquire, right? That wrote an article about it.
Yeah,
that's pretty much the story.
Somebody, I mean, all the press obviously jumped on the fact that you.
The Esquire article kind of gives the whole story.
Yeah. Look it up. It's a pretty great story, and there's no reason.
He didn't cheat.
No, he didn't. It's like the guy with the fucking whammies. He figured out the repetitive nature of certain aspects.
Well, we saw the tape of everybody. Now we have cameras everywhere on the show, and there was a fan group that was upset that there was a producer on the show my first year that'd been there 35 years.
Right.
He'd been there his whole television career. It was his first job out of college, and then he wasn't there my second year of the show. And this fan group really liked this guy, and they were very upset that he wasn't there anymore.
They might have blamed you.
Yeah, they thought it was me or somebody. Then all of a sudden and then I was like, after he left, and I started changing showcases.
I mean, it was you and Mike Richards, but we're not going to go into that.
For him not being there, but then I started doing different stuff. Then they were mad at me for changing things, and thought the show was spinning out of control without this guy's steady hand, and they were really upset.
So all that was building up to this,
right? And so one of the guys from this group, and they were like super fans, where they would like at the end of every show publish on their website like who bid what the amounts of all the prizes were. Like it was.
There
like a
is an
set
actual
fee for
Price
the
is Right
show.
website archive
And,
that has like
so
all the
they'd only
details.
change the
He's
prizes, like,
referring.
every-
Pause,
they'd only
pause the video for
introduce,
a
like,
moment.
every.
Drew Carey here is actually referring to, if I'm correct, and I'm like about 85-90% certain on this, he is referring to the goldenroad.net forum community, who is a diehard fan group who did indeed prefer Roger Dobkowitz to remain the showrunner of the show. And they were diehard fans of The Price is Right. Quite a few of them who lived in the greater Los Angeles area and attended tens, maybe even in some cases, probably hundreds of tapings.
I will also throw out the possibility.
There was indeed a big uproar on Golden Road about the takeover of Fremantle and of Dobkowitz getting sacked and Mike Richards taking over. They were indeed not happy about that.
golden-road.net for the forums.
And then I actually just found a
Link
website
to,
online as well.
Links
there
to
you go,
websites
Eric.
and
Links
I'm sorry,
are
I'm trying
in the description.
That's not what I'm trying to say.
Okay.
Important disclaimer here. Links shown on air are not necessarily endorsements of the W2M Network staff and management.
Correct. This particular one that is showing on air right now, or was showing on air right now to our listening audience, is TPIR E-Guide, which is the Price is Right episode guide, which is basically what Drew was just saying right there. Literally episode by episode telling you what everybody bid on all of the one bids, what the pricing values were for the playing games, what everybody spun on the wheel. Literally, it breaks down every single detail of every single episode.
Yeah,
TPIREguide.com.
EPguide.com.
Oh, it is EP Guide. You are correct. I'm sorry. The Price is Right episode guide.
For example,
back to Drew, though.
They even go back to the first episode.
Like 6 new prizes a week on The Price is Right.
Which is a lot of repeats.
A lot of repeats. And they hardly ever changed anything. So you'd see the same boat, the same cooker, the same grill, the same cars, and all the time. And hardly any changes. And now it's like we changed so much you can't keep up.
Right.
You know, so it would never happen again. But
it's amazing how it didn't change for 37 years.
Well, you know, they would get like, you know, it was a good show. It was doing well. You know what I mean? Like,
well, why you gotta fuck things up?
Yeah, honestly, like it was fine. The ratings were good. Like everybody was happy.
Yeah.
So Bob's always going to be there. He's never going to age or get tired of doing the show. There was a guy from this fan group that was able to showed up, and he was in the front row or the second row, the first second row of the show. I can't remember now during the taping, and he was giving people advice, like people do from the audience. We encourage them to yell out what they think the price is.
They're always yelling.
Yeah, one guy won a Chevy one time in the show. He was with a friend of his that was a Chevy salesman, and got every number so what?
Yeah,
that's how it goes. And so this guy was like, somebody got a perfect one bid, got an extra $500 because this guy gave him the price.
Right,
he'd seen the one bid before. Then some lady was paying one away and got every single number exactly, and was like looking at this guy and changing the number because this guy was yelling out, "No, that's 5, 7." You know, "Oh, I make that a 7." You know, she looked back and said, she won a car.
The guy that he would be referring to is Theodore Slauson.
For sure, one person got a one bid exactly, and then I think it was the guy actually that won the thing. But when that guy that ended up in the showcase, when he was doing his pricing game, it was in door 2, and we were really far away from that guy.
Oh yeah,
we couldn't hear him.
Good,
and he lost his pricing game. But then he won on the wheel. Then he got to the showcase. When he got to the showcase, you know, it's 3 things everybody's seen before. Certainly the guy from the
fan,
this Rain Man dude from the fan group,
yeah.
And he was able to give this guy an amount that happened to be the exact amount
to the fucking penny,
which I think was like, I think the guy was probably as surprised as anybody that he got it to the penny. But he's like, oh no, that's something he added. He gave him a price. It was the price to the dollar. And I remember Kathy Greco was producing the show. Is not on the show anymore either. She retired, but she came out with her headphones. She was like that.
Yeah, she didn't retire.
She had a clipboard. Got the exact amount. And I went like, what?
And what was the item?
There's always like 3-4 things. I don't know. And I go, that ever happened before? And she goes, no.
That had never happened before.
No, so that's what she said right away. So then we shut down for like 10 minutes.
Right.
15 minutes, which is a long time. And everybody was like, that standards and practices there. What are we going to do?
What does this mean? What does this mean?
Yeah. Is this possible?
Right.
Could this even happen? And we knew that
did someone cheat? That's got to come.
Yeah. And this fan group had we knew that this guy was yelling out prices because we knew the people that were in the fan group, but then like they were always getting a lot of inside information about the show. And we never knew how they were getting their information. About things we were planning or things we were doing. They just had a lot of contacts, right. In the show, and they were mad about this guy not being here. So we all thought like, oh, they're just fucking with us now because they're mad. And now they're trying to hurt the show.
The 35-year.
Yeah, now they're mad because this guy's not here anymore. They're just trying to fuck with us now, and they got the prices, and then now they're trying to screw with the show.
Right.
That's the first.
That's what's going on during the 10-15 minute break.
Yeah, everybody thinks like, so let's give the guy his prize right now. We'll investigate it. And
so when we come back on the air and you're not thrilled for the guy, which is all
well,
the
I
fucking
think
press
I think I'm fucked.
Right, you're out of a job.
I think I'm out of a job.
You think they're shutting down the show?
I think they're shutting down the show.
Yeah.
I think, well, this is fucking it.
I have a soccer team.
Yeah. No, I thought like I'm fucked now.
Yeah.
I had nothing to do with anything.
So how shocking that you weren't happy.
I was like, fuck this guy. You think I'm giving him a slap on the back or whatever? Hey, congratulations.
Yeah.
You got the exact number. Go fuck yourself. Honestly, I was like, go fuck yourself. That's if you're gonna fuck the show over, go fuck yourself.
Yeah.
But I didn't know the whole story at the time. I should have. And then
I don't think anyone did.
I go, is this gonna? I remember asking, is this ever gonna air? I don't know how we could. I remember hearing that from somebody, and I thought they were never gonna air it anyway.
Right.
So I was like, well, fuck it.
They said that before you went back on the air. And
I didn't think they could.
Right.
Yeah, I remember hearing somebody wondering how they could even air it.
Right.
If there was a scandal.
Right.
And I was like, well, this is fuck. I mean, I was so depressed right then.
Sure.
And then they turns out that nobody did anything wrong. Like this guy, you can't, by listening to the audio, like if somebody happens to have bought the exact GE microwave that we're giving away and knows the price and yells it out, and the guy wins the microwave, fine.
That's part of the game.
Part of the show.
Yeah.
We encourage people to yell it, but you should have, like the meetings we had.
But the number was like 6 different numbers.
It was crazy.
It wasn't like 4,700.
No.
It was ridiculous.
Yeah,
down
it was
to
right
the-
on the pen. Yeah, it was crazy.
Yeah.
And so everybody thought that something happened. And we thought somebody from the staff was also mad about this and was cooperating with the fan group and was like, just to fuck the show over, gave the guy the price of the showcase.
Yeah, you didn't
he
have to
yelled it
be
out to the
Oliver
guy.
Stone to see a conspiracy theory going down.
Yeah. So, I mean, there was such an investigation you can't believe. And
Turns out
the guy was able to, because we never,
he beat the game.
Because we repeated prizes so much, he was able to just like memorize all the major ones we give away.
Yeah, the story on NASCAR is this guy would like flashcards. He was a weatherman, and he had made a 30-something year career of his own memorizing stats for other lines of work.
It's not tough to do.
Throughout his life.
It wouldn't have been tough for anybody to do.
It's not a Rain Man.
To beat the prices, right? Yeah, back then. But now,
back then,
good luck to you.
Yeah.
We could have the same car, every single prize, and you would never get it. If it's a $19,000 car, one time then we'll change the options and make it a $21,000 car, a $20,000 car, a $25,000 car.
And now it's more of a game. Now it's not a memorization skill.
Yeah, it's more of a game. It's more of a game.
Well, it's kind of what the heart of the game was when it was launched, I'm sure, and over the years.
Yeah, well, you do get
we can go ahead and stop the video there. Drew Carey makes a very good point. I mean, that's exactly what the Price is Right staff did after Perfect Bid. They realized, holy shit, we'd use the same prizes over and over again to a degree of consistency where people can memorize the prizes.
Memorize the prizes, amounts, all the different packages, wham, bam, do the math.
Because, and Ted Slauson even says it in Perfect Bid, on a good show, they add 2 to 3 prizes a week.
I think he
Like
said
new prizes.
Yeah, I think on the documentary he actually specifically states that for the taping cycles that he went to, for each of the taping cycles that he went to, they would tape the full week worth of episodes inside of 3 days, 2, 2, and 1. They would introduce maybe 4 or 5 new prizes on every taping cycle, and that was it. Everything else was just repeated and refloated from previous episodes.
So, and while it works, it works.
But just like a certain other CBS game show had to scramble after somebody broke the bank. Just break the bank on CBS, because if it was, that should be a monkey.
Be right back. I'm going to do some research. I don't think so, though.
No, I don't think it was.
I don't remember that. I don't even remember that game show. Hold on. Now I got to go to YouTube and find that show.
76 and 85, respectively, for its 2 versions.
One Season Wonders?
I think so, yeah.
It would explain why I've not heard of it. Carry on, Mr. Espinosa.
I'm waiting for conversation if I get my monkey.
ABC and then Cindy. No monkey.
Bob Barker is not pleased.
No, that was good. It was a good try.
Well, more for the Price is Right fail music attached to it.
That was a dot ball.
You impressed the cricketer over there.
Well played.
Somebody's learning cricket.
I think all of us are, which might be the scariest part of all of this.
Cricket to the max.
Yes, still not fucking happening.
Or whatever.
Speaking of shows or whatevering, you can join me for League to the Max or whatever here on the W2M Network Monday nights.
You could say that was a segue.
But anyways, mute this man.
Those red lights are awfully fucking bright, especially this late in an episode.
More like wickets, Toby, and we're going to be taking Jonathan's wicket over there in about 2 seconds.
He's getting himself into a sticky wicket.
Yeah, speaking of sticky wicket cricket this evening, weather conditions over there at the Kartama Oval not looking so great.
Well, they're dealing with a combination of abnormal rain and a Sahara sandstorm. Yeah.
But anyways, moving right along here. The Price is Right. They had meetings on meetings on meetings on meetings on meetings on meetings. The meetings themselves had meetings.
Yo, dog, I heard we like meetings.
To quote Futurama, I chaired the subcommittee to revise the color that book was printed on. We kept it gray. That was the level of meetings that they had about prizes.
They had meetings to set up meetings.
CBS heads were all over the place.
Just like they were after a certain other CBS major game show incident that we will be talking about in the month of May.
Man, it's like CBS goes through this every 20 years or so.
Yeah, they're overdue for one then.
Give or take.
And ironically enough, Pressure Luck was late 80s, correct, for Slauson?
Mid
80s. So about 20-ish years after the 21 scandal as well.
Closer to 30, but yeah.
Again, the average is 20 years for a major game show scandal.
We will talk about the 21 scandal a little bit more this Sunday when Quiz Show gets on trial with the Rattlegion Broadcasting Network.
Shout out to our friends over at the Rattleage shows, also part of the W2M Network. We hope Mark is enjoying his vacation.
we'll get to more conversations about that a little bit later on in the broadcast. But all right,
but yeah, they have meetings on meetings and they change up like everything prize wise, right? If it had an option, they went for it. The options had options, like any milk and any nickel, dime, and penny that they could change to alter a dollar amount on a prize, they did,
and then some,
right?
Like if they brought back the pricing game, it's optional. Oh, brother.
I think that this also led to some of what we heard about during Carey's tenure of Mike Richards using the show's production budget to go out and buy prizes for the show to use, which, given what happened with Perfect Bid, is not completely unfathomable or understandable. However, morally questionable and ethically questionable from the standards and practices end of the spectrum.
You damn right.
Are we going to use this to segue into the conversation about the Voldemort of game shows?
We're already there.
We're already there.
Oh, yeah.
Segue needed. I'm just that damn good.
Yeah. Okay, Eric, you know the graphic.
To direct this at a certain to direct this at a certain rancid Randy producer. Let me look into the camera here. I'm just that damn good, baby. Shake and bike. Shake and bike.
If you're not first,
you're not in the bracket. That's what happens.
Boo. All right, Eric. Given the conversation,
if you don't understand that reference, yes, I am referencing Talladega Nights, and the reason why I'm doing that, well, go back and watch the most recent episode of Point of View, are available in the W2M Network archives.
Eric, I think we need a graphic here. A specific, nope.
Oh, not that one.
The other one that we use with regards to conversations about that person. There you go.
So, Fremantle officially is making some serious changes now that Drew Carey's in charge of things. They've pretty much come to the conclusion of, hey, it's no longer Bob Barker. We can get rid of all of the legacy that's attached to Bob Barker and leave it with Bob Barker. We can completely reinvent the entire show the way we want to now without having to really worry that, we're going to get pushback from Bob or we're going to get pushback from whoever, because we got a new host. We can get a new announcer. We can do whatever the hell we want now. And needless to say, they were not very happy about that. Or certain people were not very happy about that.
Except for two things. One, the reminder at the end of every episode. And two, no furs.
Fun fact about the reminder of every episode. There was, and this is somewhere on YouTube, when Drew Carey first met Bob Barker for the first time, Bob Barker was fully intending on asking Drew to keep up the please, have your pets spayed and neutered at the end of every episode. And the first thing that Drew Carey told Bob Barker was, hey, you don't need to worry. The first thing that you don't need to worry about spay and neuter, because I will continue to say it on every episode. It was the very first thing that he said to Bob Barker. That was a Drew choice. That was not a producers forced it or anything like that. But
I don't know if you saw my message in the group chat, but yeah.
Was that on Perfect Bid? I thought it was somewhere.
One of the clips with Barker and Perfect Bid, he talks about the fact of the transition to Drew and Drew approaching him that first day and telling him that he's going to keep Bob's signature sign off.
But
or a version thereof, because he did abbreviate a little bit.
I mean, Bob never even said the whole line on occasion. So
he just always made sure that he said, have your pets spayed and neutered.
yeah. You know, it wasn't always a please help control the pet population, have your pets spayed and neutered.
But make sure you also get your bracket producer spayed and neutered as well.
Yes.
Damn right. And if you got a problem with that, you can send your hate mail to s.garmer@gmail.com.
Okay, back to it, Brian. Continue.
And now that we've had enough gimmick infringement for a moment.
Yes. Carry on.
You can email your hate mail about gimmick infringers. You can direct all of that to @JTN2002 on Twitter.
Ouch.
You could play that game, sir. Let's talk about Dick of the Week. Since we're already kind of talking about Dick of the Week, we've gotten started there. Mike Richards definitely created a hostile work environment on Price. And it's generally well believed that Mike Richards is responsible for Roger Dobquitz getting fired, Kathy Greco getting fired, several of the models being fired, in combination with Drew Carey, Rich Fields getting fired, and several longtime staff and crew members of The Price is Right. The what I call second generation of sexual harassment lawsuits to hit The Price is Right, because we had the first one with, Diane Parkinson.
Mm-hmm.
The second wave, which kind of took over as Bob was retiring, going into, the first couple of years of Carey, mainly brought on by Mike Richards and the leadership and culture that he cultivated within the show's staff and set.
It was a culture change for the worse.
Yeah, it was a
Significantly so.
It was a culture when Richards took over as EP and showrunner. It was a culture change for the worst. It was a show shift for the worst. We got a couple of good, new, interesting pricing games that came out of it, but honestly, if you go back and you find the credits as to who developed some of these shows, they were developed by, like, either in part or in whole by longtime staffers like Fingers Greco and Roger Dobquitz, and I think Adam Sandler, not the movie star, but the producer, did a few. That had just like, they had been pitched before and fallen to the wayside, but got a second chance, so to speak. No game show pun intended. In this new revival, so to speak, of The Price is Right.
If I may say, though, there was one pricing game that did come out of this era of Drew Carey's own creation that I think was a smash hit. Rat Race. It is the quintessential Drew pricing game, I would say. More on that in week 5.
I think Gas Money and Pay the Rent are the two quintessential Drew Carey pricing games.
We'll argue that week 5.
I don't think you need to argue it. In Bob's era, you had people making Plinko shirts, right? Plinko, maybe Hole in One, maybe Lucky 7, like car games, right? And there weren't very many in Bob's era, but mostly it was Plinko, right? That was the quintessential pricing game of Bob's era.
I have a good
right now. I could use some gas money.
Well, I also have an interesting Plinko story that we'll get into in week 5.
But with Drew, I think especially now the quintessential pricing games for Drew are Pay the Rent and Gas Money. You see people making shirts, incorporating pay the rent and gas money into the slogans and sayings and puns on their shirts. Like, hey, Drew, I'm here to pay the rent, or, something like that. So I have to respectfully disagree with you on that one about Rat Race being the quintessential Carey show or Carey pricing game. But the one thing that I think that Carey did do well, right? Because we are talking about Carey. We're going to talk about this more next week.
Are we good to get rid of the week?
Yeah. We'll talk about this a bit more next week because it's technically not part of it's not daytime prices, right? They're primetime specials. But the $1 million spectaculars, Carey handled those spectacularly, especially given the fact that
spectacularly, no.
Are you done criticizing my word choice when I'm not trying to make a pun intentionally?
You did still, though. Sometimes the best puns are the unintentional.
Carry on.
The point being, not everything is a pun up there, funny boy. What was I saying?
Drew Carey, the $1 million spectacular.
Oh, right, yeah. No, so Carey handled the $1 million spectacularly, right? Like, I think they brought. It was a test to see how Carey could perform under that kind of pressure, and he pulled it off well, especially given the fact that the very first $1 million spectacular that Carey did was a $1 million winner because the guy got the double showcase. And the rules were you get the double showcase, you win the $1 million.
Wait a minute, another early load blow? Sounds like Power at 10 all over again. Anyway.
Drew actually talks about that in the Kevin Pollak show, going back to that again real quick. We caught the tail end of that conversation before he went into the Terry Nese convo there. They actually had a thing with the $1 million spectaculars that you only had to be within $1,000 of the actual value of the showcase in order to win the $1 million in the double showcase.
Yeah, because they thought the showcases that they were offering were so extravagantly overpriced that nobody would get it within $1,000.
Correct.
But
wrong.
Yeah, first $1 million spectacular out with Drew Carey, because Bob did like one or two, I believe, before he retired. But Carey picked it up and decided to roll with it. And his first one out, bam, $1 million winner. Next one out, the one of the most infamous Price is Right clips out there. The girl that wins clock game in 6 seconds.
We will be airing these clips next week.
We'll probably air that. I was going to say, we'll probably get to that next week.
We'll be airing both of these clips next week, both the $1 million double showcase as well as the aforementioned clock game clip.
Well, if we have time, yeah.
We should. The Sydney show will take a lot of time to discuss.
We got a lot to discuss next week.
Doug Davidson. Enough said. Continue.
Don't forget internationals too, because somebody up there loves his internationals.
I can't get it right.
Hey, how much?
There we go. There we go.
That guy.
I was gonna make a joke so bad.
I can't get it in the hole. I can't get it in the hole.
Family show.
Thankfully, it's now called hole in one or two. Anyway, moving on. Yes, we've got it.
Nielsen broke
That's
Eric.
That's
All right. Give him his monkey. Snort laughter from Espinoza. He's earned his monkey. Apparently,
kick him out. I want him gone. Kick him out.
Apparently, when he's really amused by something, Brian turns into Steve Urkel.
That was me.
That was you that.
I want Nielsen y fuera. Nielsen y fuera. Ahora y fuera.
Sacale la champeta.
Y
fuera.
Y
fuera.
Y
fuera.
Is this turning into a Sábado Gigante reference? A Gigante reference?
Sábado Gigante con el Don Francisco.
English, por favor. All right, let's go ahead and bring this. Let's go ahead and bring this pony into station.
All right.
It's 2022. Drew's still hosting.
It's 2022. Drew's still hosting. He's doing a decent job with, the pandemic. Price is Right, honestly, I think was one of those shows that, as much as I love The Price is Right, I didn't expect it to survive the pandemic because of the type of heavy participation that it requires.
I'll be back in a sec, guys.
So I am surprised that it survived. 50 years on the air. We'll be talking about that special next week in depth, but Price is Right's in its 50th year this year. Amazing how that's a thing. But the key takeaways, I think, that you have to give to Carey, the Carey run of Price is Right up to today, right, are three things. One, you have consistency. Whether you like it or not, George Gray and Drew Carey are here to stay.
Oh, yeah.
I don't think neither one of them are retiring anytime soon.
They are this generation's Bob Barker and Rod Roddy.
They really are. Two, you have the themes, the theme shows. They always do, that I know of without fail, 3 theme shows a year. They do the April Fool's special. They do the July 4th Salute to the Troops. And they do the Halloween special. I believe they do more than that. But I know without fail, those 3 go off every year.
One of my favorite things that Carey has instituted is a Dream Car Week. Carey's a huge car guy. And one of the things that he instituted was Dream Car Week, which has just recently happened for this year, where they give away BMWs, they give away Porsches, they give away Audis, they gave away a Tesla this year.
They gave away a Dodge Viper in the past. You also got Big Money Week.
Again, they have the theme weeks, which, if anything, they're consistent with them, which goes back to point number 1. And it makes the show engaging because the problem, and to an extent, Bob Barker wasn't immune to this either, right? Bob Barker just had enough change up in the people that worked with him that it never settled in as bad as I think it's settling in with Carey. But The Price is Right is slowly getting to the point where if you've seen one, you've seen them all.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I don't
think it happened. I don't think you can really say that about Bob Barker, though, because in Bob Barker's era, they introduced pricing games and they rotated pricing games a lot more frequently.
That I'll agree with.
And on top of that, as much as we miss Johnny O, as much as we miss Rod Roddy, the break between them was perfect. I don't wish ill, and I don't want to speak ill about the dead, and I'm not intending to when I say this, but they couldn't have passed away at a more appropriate time.
I'm not touching that one.
I can't necessarily counter that argument because it's like those sayings go. You always leave them wanting more. Better to go kind of too soon than stay too long. So in that particular sentiment, I see where you're coming from.
Let's
Right idea, poor phrasing.
Because let's be realistic here, right? Johnny Olsen wasn't going to go until he passed away. Johnny Olsen was going to stay with that show for life. Same with Rod Roddy.
Mm-hmm.
Those two loved that show like it was their own son.
Mm-hmm.
They would have gone until they either passed away or they got to like Bob, where they just simply could not physically do the show anymore.
Well, and I mean to tie in with Mike Richards, and this is gonna sound weird, but kind of what happened with Jeopardy and Alex Trebek.
Yeah.
He called his own shot, in essence, himself years before.
Johnny Olsen, just for context, in TV and radio combined from 33 till 85. The guy was a damn institution.
All right, let's go ahead and
But I know we're getting to a magical number. I'm aware. I have my eye on the clock.
And Roddy from 75 till 03.
Yeah, both of those men were in television for a long time. Drew Carey starting to get there, and so is George Gray. Because a lot of people forget George Gray is also a game show host. He took over for, oh my God, I literally just had her name on the tip of my tongue.
He didn't necessarily take over for her. It was daytime version of The Weakest Link for Ann Robinson.
First in-studio show, let's bring this really full circle, Extreme Gong. So, how about that for a full circle?
I mean, he did that, but he also most notably did, and a lot of people don't really recognize him for it because of the personality 180 flip, but he did indeed do The Weakest Link.
Yeah, and Pain, Fame, or Shame on ESPN as well. So
Correct.
He's been around.
correct me if I'm wrong. The George Gray version of Weakest Link was syndicated, yes?
Yes.
I believe that was daytime syndicated, yeah.
Yes.
Okay, gentlemen, we wrap up our conversation of the Drew Carey era of The Price is Right with a simple, I've got a question. We talked about the fact that it's over the years, the novelty of the show is worn off. Obviously, for us, the nostalgia is real when it comes to the Bob Barker era of The Price is Right. Maybe not so much in the current times, especially with the COVID pandemic restrictions on The Price is Right as is. Gentlemen, my question to you is simple. How often do you still watch The Price is Right?
I work when it's on the air. Can't do it.
I mean,
that's if you have Paramount Plus.
I'll say this because I feel like the unanimous zero is kind of giving a damnation to The Price is Right here. I feel warranted to kind of have to explain.
I still watch.
And I'll explain mine as well. But
real quick, I still watch before you guys give your explanations. I still watch at least once or twice a week, depending on availability, as well as depending on if the aforementioned theme weeks are happening. Like Dream Car Week that I just talked about, I watched every episode of that.
And that's what I was about to say is if Price is Right has a special on, like a theme week, or if it's the April Fool's special or the Halloween special or something like that, or $1 Million Spectacular, yeah, I'll tune into that. I'll even make sure I go out of my way to see it if it's something that I know is going to be particularly good or particularly appealing. But just regular old run-of-the-mill, hey, it's 11 a.m., turn on CBS, Price is Right. It's like I said before, the show has kind of gotten to the point where it's stale. They're not interested, and it got this way before the pandemic. I kind of have to say that. This wasn't brought on by the pandemic. The pandemic just hasn't helped. But the show has gotten stale because the pricing games, honestly, that they are introducing are not very exciting. I think the newest game, honestly, that I think I can remember them introducing that is Double Cross, which honestly just reminds me of I can't remember the name of the game, but you have the 3 prizes and you have the sliding things underneath, and you get the 1 2-digit price. Yeah, green, red, and yellow colored, and you have the 2-digit,
Line it up.
3-digit, and line them up. Yeah.
Line 'em up. I was
Double
gonna make your move, but yeah.
Double Cross reminds me of a differently oriented line 'em up.
Yeah, Make Your Move.
Is it Make Your Move?
It is. The one you're thinking of is Make Your Move.
Okay, sorry. Yeah, Double Cross literally just reminds me of Make Your Move. A lot of the good, fun, exciting pricing games are gone. I'd love for them to bring back things like 10 Chances or Check Game or Magic Number, Freeze Frame. I
actually think they did just recently bring back 10 Chances. Because I remember seeing somebody recently win a car on the game of 10 Chances, and it was shared on the Price is Right's Facebook page.
Hell, I would like them to see like a triple play more often. Now, mind you, some of those, a good majority of those games I just mentioned involve cars. Not exactly in a time frame, or not a time frame, in an economy right now where I think we're going to be able to give away cars, but at least not where it's 3, 4, 5 cars an episode. But yeah, no, I'm not thinking of Make Your Move. That's what I'm thinking of. Yeah.
Okay, no, I was thinking of the one where you had to line up the prices of the smaller prizes in order to get the price of the car.
No, go back to Make Your Move, because that's what I was referring to.
Yeah, no, I get that now.
Because to me, Double Cross feels the exact same way. You just highlight the number, and the one you highlight on the other side will correspond with the one on the other side. And when you think you got them both right, you tell him to stop. He hits the button, and it's like I said, it's a modification on Make Your Move. So yeah, I think it's gotten stale. I really do.
For our audio listeners, we just showed a visual of what the Double Cross game looks like.
I mean, I'll give Drew Carey some credit. He's trying to keep the show somewhat hip and trendy by changing up his look. I'm kind of a fan of the whole full mustache thing going. Again, I appreciate some of the theme weeks that they're doing. Like, for example, I will go. Give me a moment here, and I will.
While he's doing that, may I ask another question here, because this is a conversation.
If we can go to screen share, sorry.
Oh, go ahead.
We have Halloween 2021, just like 6 months ago.
Famous Bob Barker Studio in Hollywood.
Look at how they did Halloween 2021.
Right.
And again, this seating just looks weird.
Well, I think that was just like the CBS standard, because Let's Make a Deal did the same way.
Yeah, no, it's COVID. It's COVID.
Yeah. It's their standard COVID protocols, but
yeah, it's better than no audience, that's for sure.
Come on, Dad.
But I mean, you can very clearly tell they're having to pipe in crowd noise.
Come on down.
There's no way those people are that loud.
First four groovy contestants as we celebrate Halloween on The Price is Right. And now, here's your host, Drew Carey.
Hey, a 70s logo.
Yeah. With the 70s set in the background there as you open up the doors.
Rachel Reynolds, everybody. How about it, Rachel Reynolds?
Shout out to
Rubiest chick on the planet. Shout out our friend George Gray. Drew, my brother, you are looking heavy today. I want to say hi to everybody out there and hi to Foxy Mama May. What's up, everybody? Welcome to the show. How you doing?
But yeah, I like how they're trying to do stuff like that. They're especially recently, right?
1972. You ready to get this shit started? Well, that's groovy, man.
And we can pull off of this now. But I appreciate how they're trying to like recapture the Bob era, so to speak, and the Bob legacy by doing a lot of callbacks to it. I mean, I've noticed especially the longer that Drew hosts the show, the more respect I think he has for Bob and Bob's legacy and wanting to incorporate that into the modern show. At first, you could tell that Drew kind of wanted to completely flip the script, had wanted to have nothing to do with Bob. Now it's like, yeah, they'll call back to the original 70s version. Hell, they'll call back to the 90s versions of The Price is Right. So I don't know. It's tough, but I know Harry's got a question. I'm going to steal Harry's question because I know what it is, if that's okay with Harry.
No, that's fine. Just because we forgot to do this on the Barker episode, so we should probably do that as well.
No, we did it on the Barker episode.
Did we give numbers for? I think we did it for the first one. For the
only.
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure we did for Barker.
Not that I recall.
Yeah,
I remember being vicious to some of you for calling.
We did.
Well, gentlemen, Carey Price is Right. How would you rate it? I am going to go ahead and go first. Since I kind of just finished up a pretty much an explanatory rant there on where I would grade the show. I'm going to give the show, yeah, that's pretty much what should have been going the entire time there, my final thought. I think I have to give the show a solid 70. It's average. It's not impressing anybody, but it's not exactly standing out either. It has its standout moments, but overall, it just feels like an average run-of-the-mill game show right now. So I give it a solid like 70C average.
And what would you give Bob?
What would I give Bob? Oh, that's easy. I give Bob like a 95. Like that goes into top 5 game show territory easy. Like somewhere between a 90 and a 95. I was actually going to toss it to you, Harry.
All right, cool. I'll go next here. I'm a little bit more okay. I think a lot of this is personal bias here because it is no secret, and Eric knows this very well, that I am a huge Drew Carey fan and have been since I was a teenager watching the Drew Carey show.
I will say, and I don't mean to cut you off. I want to say I love Drew Carey. I really do. I love Who's Line. I love Power of 10. I loved Improvaganza, which was criminally underrated because it got shoved onto GSN at the 11:30 death slot, like 11:30 p.m. death slot.
Oh, the at midnight slot.
Yeah, like I love Drew Carey as a comedian, as a performer, as a comic host. Like, I have nothing wrong with Drew Carey. I have issue with the creative direction in which Price is Right is going / has gone. You can continue. Sorry.
Okay,
since you said that, I felt like I had to get that out there.
Can put that on. Though.
Hang on, Harry, you're freezing. Give it a second.
What I was saying is I don't know that you can put that on Drew. I think a lot of that goes towards that. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Am I good?
No.
Am I good? All right.
No.
You're decent.
Somebody else go.
Okay, we're gonna give Harry a moment to stabilize his internet connection. Eric.
All right. My explanation and my ratings are like this. I gave Colin a 95. I'm giving Bob Barker a 98. Simply put, because perfection being as unattainable as it is, by it.
Rule of mine, boy.
Well, obviously, especially since I also control the fate of the Nielsen ratings in my hands. More on that off air. I'm giving Barker a 98 with perfection being as unattainable as it is. But with that, my own personal bias being the institution in my life, always, it's right up there. When it comes to Drew Carey, I also love the Drew Carey show. I am not as big of a Drew Carey fan as Harry, but a pretty significant fan. The Drew Carey Price is Right gets a 73. And the reason why I don't watch right now, it's to me, the frog in the pot. I knew there were going to be changes. I knew there were going to be subtle changes, and it was inevitable. But like the frog in the pot, if you go ahead and you turn up the water to where it boils too quickly, frog notices, jumps out. You go ahead and turn it up slower from a simmer, from a simmer, from a simmer. You don't really notice until it's too late. And for me, I get it. And there's a few different shows that I'm willing to say pass me by, but they're great for the new generation. Price is Right in the Carey era is one of them. But being that frog in the pot, seeing the more and more subtle changes in everything else, is it good for what it is now? Yes. Is it good for me? No. But I know I may not be who exactly they're targeting. And I get that. So for me, with the pricing games they have, with the nostalgia factor of certain things, bringing back certain stuff, okay, but it ain't my bag.
I have to say, I think you explained the reason why I gave mine the way I did in a much better way than I could. Because I pretty much feel exactly the same way.
Can y'all hear me now?
Yes. And I will go ahead and toss it back over to you.
All right. So I was, as I was saying before, my internet decided to be a runner-up for Dick of the Week. I am a massive fan of Drew Carey, so I will support Drew in whatever he does. When I found out that Drew Carey was taking over The Price is Right, I was incredibly hesitant because everything I had seen from Carey prior to this was his stand-up routine, was his stand-up comedy, was the stuff that he had done on Carson and everything along that nature. And I was really, really hesitant of Carey taking over the American staple that is The Price is Right. He has done more than a serviceable job in carrying on the legacy of the show. The problem is the legacy of the show is now tainted by He Who Shall Not Be Named and the scandals that came with him. For me, the Carey version of The Price is Right is an 85, which puts it at like a B level for me. It is not as good as the Bob Barker era was. However, in my opinion, it is still one of the best game shows on television today.
So what would you give Bob?
Yeah, you guys are tiptoeing around it. It's, to me, there's no question here. TV Guide, Us, Entertainment Weekly, a handful of other sources have all named it the greatest game show of all time, and Bob Barker is the reason why. The Barker era of Price is Right is a 100 for me.
I guess that leaves B.
I'm gonna say just real quick. I kind of disagree with the Mike Richards comment, and I know I'm gonna get like a dirty look here for a moment. Yes, Richards scarred The Price is Right, but it isn't like a giant deep scar. Very thankfully, Richards had checks and balances against him. Whether it was other producers on the show, whether it was CBS, whether it was Fremantle, whether it was standards and practices. If Richards were left unchecked with the show, like he was when he went to Jeopardy and he left CBS for Sony Pictures Entertainment, The Price is Right would be in an entirely much worse basket, and I would consider your comments to be more appropriate than what I personally think they are. I don't disagree that Richards left a mark on The Price is Right, but I don't think he left a scar.
He definitely tainted the legacy of The Price is Right, however.
I don't think I could say that. I don't think I can agree with tainting the legacy. If anything, Bob Barker getting sued by Diane Parkinson tainted the legacy. Richards didn't come anywhere close to that. Yes, Richards had to field a couple of lawsuits indirectly. Bob was the primary defendant on several sexual harassment lawsuits.
Most of which were settled out of court.
But some of that litigation lasted over a decade.
And not to mention the fact that, as we said in the Mike Richards special, he hasn't gone through big hearings. Now, if and when, and I don't think at this point that he will, if he had been through the big hearings like we talked about in Congress, legacy tainted, game over.
That's when I would say, yeah, unfortunately, The Price is Right. Definitely his legacy gets tainted because he spent 6 years with The Price is Right or something like he spent a good amount of time with them. But I think it's being, the point I'm making is I think it's being slightly overblown a little bit. To a true game show fan, yes, you look at The Price is Right, you go, okay, yes, here's the era of Mike Richards. Was it great? Not really. Does it take away from the fact that it's the greatest game show of all time? No. Just because even the most diehardest of game show fans can sit, like you just said, and look at The Price is Right with Bob Barker and Johnny Olsen or Rod Roddy, right? Despite all of the curmudgeonness that happened backstage, despite the sexual harassment lawsuits of Diane Parkinson and all of the other models who joined in on that. You cast all of that aside and still call it the greatest game show of all time because Bob Barker was just that damn good at what he does. And as much as I like Carey, and for all the credit that I will give him that he's come into his own with the show, he couldn't stand in Bob, and I don't mean to say this as an insult, but I know it's going to sound like it. Drew Carey can't stand in Bob Barker's shadow if he tried. And it isn't for lack of trying. It's not Drew Carey is not that type of person, and Drew Carey is not that type of host.
See, I would argue that Drew didn't try to stand in Bob's shadow. However, Drew tried to make the show his own to an extent, which is one of the reasons why I think that The Price is Right was able to survive as well as it has in his stead.
I think you're right to that extent. Drew Carey has taken the show and skewed it toward a younger demographic. Price is Right used
I'll
to
agree
go,
with that.
Price is Right used to go for the middle-aged housewife.
Of course.
Now I think it's going for the 18 to 30, maybe if you really want to stretch it, the 18 to 54 demographic. Right? And that's where you get the discussion that that Eric said a few moments ago of, as I can't point, apparently.
All the way. There you go. Clip. There you go.
It's the angle of it's the angle of my monitor. That's what causes it to screw up. That he said a few moments ago of Carey's Price is Right does not, and I don't believe is intended to appeal to the people that grew up with Bob Barker and Rod Roddy, or even more so, Bob Barker and Johnny Olson.
I'll agree with that. I think he's definitely trying to target a much different demographic than watched under the Barker era. And I think in order for the show to survive, that he kind of had to do that, because most of the people that were watching the Barker era are, if we're being realistic at this point, either old enough that they're not really watching anymore or have since passed on.
I can agree with that as well. But I think if you go back and you looked at and you go to those publications and the people that were responsible for those decisions to say Price is Right, greatest game show of all time, and you ask them, does that still hold true today? I don't think they all say yes.
Which is why when we did our version of the Greatest Game Show tournament, the three of us considered the totality of all shows involved rather than just any specific era.
Mm-hmm.
I will say this much in regards to the demographic skewing younger for Price is Right. My stepdad is 72 years old and watches Let's Make a Deal and Price is Right every day.
Again, these are shows that the loyal friends and true will watch the show, and if you watch something every day, it's like Eric said with the frog in the
Autopilot.
Right? Eventually, you'll notice the subtle changes after it's too late. And at that point, you've become emotionally invested and you're like, well, fuck it. I'm already watching. Why quit now?
Basically, you're watching on autopilot.
Exactly.
All right, Jonathan.
Y'all done?
No,
no. One of us is probably going to interrupt you to argue.
Because interrupting me is a W2M Network gimmick exclusive. Anyway, I've got a major point here that I need to raise. May I have the full screen, please?
Oh no, he's getting on a soapbox.
Rule 32: fear when I get on a soapbox, because I'm on one now. There is a YouTube video that I will link into our chat that'll go into the notes. It is 24 minutes in length, and it truly addresses, in my opinion, the issues with Drew Carey and how the handover was handled from Bob Barker.
So is this going in the description as well, or?
Yes. The title is The Price is Right Host Entrance, a Visual History. The man goes into all the camera angles, the rotoscoping, and everything with that host intro. Bob Barker gets a 98 from me as well. 2 reasons. 1, nobody's perfect, and the extra 1 comes from the scandals that were mentioned earlier by the 3 of you. Drew Carey is not the star of The Price is Right. That is always the role of Bob Barker, and to a lesser degree, Dennis James, who we'll talk about next week. The host of The Price is Right is Drew Carey. He is the blue-collar guy that is there to support you and hope you win a ton of money. He is not the white-collar pinnacle standard that Bob Barker was. And it took a whole year for all the production staff to realize Bob and Drew are 2 totally different personalities, and the show needed to be reworked to accommodate Drew Carey's hosting style.
May I chime in here? Something relevant to what you just said.
I can lose the full screen at this point.
Okay. Drew actually talks about that in the Kevin Pollak interview. And I find myself going back to that Pollak interview, but I highly recommend it if you guys have the 2 hours to watch it. It is a very entertaining watch.
Absolutely.
I mean, I would say the same thing about Perfect Bid as well. If you have the hour and change to sit down and watch Perfect Bid, I highly recommend doing so, because you're going to learn a lot about the insights to early Prices Right after Drew took over.
To answer your question that you asked me in our private chat about my opinion of it, I actually thought it was very well done, and I learned a lot about the machinations behind the show as well, which kind of gave me a deeper understanding of what had happened. Casual game show enthusiast, as I call myself here on the show, being able to learn about the actual what goes into making an episode, what goes into the contestants, what goes into the possibilities behind the potential scandal that could have came with Perfect Bid. But back to my point about Drew Carey there. Drew talks about that he has the best job in the world. And the reason he says that is because he gets to go to work every day and root for people that he doesn't know to do well. Whereas Bob Barker always held himself to a higher standard of being. That while Bob was still there, rooting for you there, Bob Barker carried himself with a level of grace and dignity that I'm not sure that Drew Carey's reputation preceded him to be able to pull off.
Bob, in a word, is dignitas.
All right, so what's your rating for the Carey version?
So, I look at Drew's run on a spectrum. Drew in the first season as the star of The Price is Right under the reign of Mike Richards.
Brian's doing other things.
It's
Continue.
50.
No, I don't think it's necessary to give him an X every time we say his name.
It outright failed. Second season, things are on the increase as he's finding his way in, bringing in some of these new new pricing games, Rat Race, Gas Money, Pay the Rent. When we go from, I'm going to use it just as because it's the visual that I'm looking at here. When you go from heavy set man behind the desk Drew Carey to thin Drew Carey, you see, as his health is increasing, his personality is changing. He's evolving into the role. At its peak, 85. I think with the effects that we're suffering from now, and just the fact that the show has become a bit stagnant, I settle him out as an 80.
I can accept that.
Solid B. Now, things continue on a downward trend. He's in the C category, but right now, he's got the B.
You have been listening to Life is Like a Game Show, a presentation of the W2M Network online at W2Mnet.com. In addition, you can find us on all of your favorite podcast listening services: iTunes, iHeartRadio, Stitcher, Spreaker, Podbean, CastBox, Apple Pods, Google Pods, Overcast. Rate and review us 5 stars on Spotify. Make sure you guys check out the link to the Discord available in the show description, and you can check out the video versions of the W2M Network podcasts on Twitch, Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube. W2M Network on Twitter, W2M Net everywhere else.
So,
I think I gaffed.
W2M Net on Twitch. W2M Network everywhere else.
You flipped when you should have flopped.
We're definitely going to need to pre-record that. So I have an actual final thought now. So I've been doing some thinking for over the past
3 hours or.
Oh, we crossed that bridge a while ago.
I just couldn't get a word in because you all kept going on and on and on, and interruptions exclusive.
Throw a bottle at him.
And
shut up, John.
Yeah. See what I mean? Go ahead.
I'm going to say something that is going to shock the ever-loving shit out of the 3 of you. And you're going to look at me and possibly want to attempt murder. But I promise you I will qualify my remarks. The Price is Right needs another Mike Richards.
to quote Stone Cold, as it is now 3:16. What?
The Price is Right needs another Mike Richards.
What?
We're not to explain yourself. Besides, we're past 3:16 anyways.
But not for the reasons you think. Mike Richards was originally brought on to The Price is Right to do a completely full creative overhaul on how the show ran for Drew Carey. At the time, it worked. We question the man's motives. We question his delivery, but you cannot take away, as much as I would like to, the fact that for however despicable Mike Richards was or is, you cannot take away the fact that he was successful at the job that he had set out to accomplish.
God damn it, I hate to admit the fact that you're right in that, because he is the one who changed the star of The Price Right to the host and such in that thing I referred to.
As we're aware, Mike Richards left recently, right before COVID, to Sony, where he was unceremoniously given the boot after he tried to give himself his own hosting gig, finally. The point being, The Price is Right needs a new boss to give a new lifeblood into the show. Because a lot of the problems that we were talking about were problems that were beginning to develop with the Bob Rod era before Bob retired. Which is why when we said, was it right for Bob to retire when he did, we all said yes. If I'm correct, and I could be wrong here because I'm not as on top of The Price is Right as I would like to admit that I am, but I believe the new EP showrunner is Evelyn Warfel, who is a longtime Price is Right veteran. Very skilled at what she does. I think once we get past COVID, because she took over and then COVID hit for the most part.
Evelyn Warfel is correct.
Once we can get past COVID and we can go back to television shows being like, if we could go back to The Price is Right of the 2000 of like, pre-COVID, full audience houses, audience intros, all that good stuff. No social distancing required. I think Evelyn Warfel can rejuvenate The Price is Right. And that's what Price is Right needs right now. It needs a new Mike Richards. It needs somebody who is hired with the sole intention of revitalizing the show from a creative standpoint. And if they can pull that off, given Carey's tenure, given George Gray, I almost said Michael Gray for some reason, given George Gray's tenure, a good 5, maybe another 5, 6, 10 years of that, of a revitalized Price is Right, you could put Drew and George at the same level as Bob and Rod. But it ain't there right now.
I think it's unfair to compare them to Bob and Rod to begin with, in my opinion.
I don't think so.
It's not unfair because what do we have all the time? We always love to compare eras in a lot of different fields. And circling back, and a little bit of a homework assignment for the three of you, talking about the different levels of greatness. Steve Smith is good right now. He's the leader right now. Everybody will tell you he is no Sir Donald Bradman. and even he didn't average 100. Let that sink in.
Another cricket thought for you, apparently, from the desk of Mr. Watkins.
Mm-hmm.
But that's my true final thought on the Drew Carey era. It started off great. It's gotten stagnant. COVID isn't helping. There's a new boss in town. Scandal, scarring, stagnation. Apparently, I'm being alliterative. Is all behind, or hopefully soon to all be behind, The Price is Right. And we will go into, and the show will hopefully go into another, pardon the pun here, golden era. Because, 50 is the golden anniversary of greatness. And I will end with this final sentence, which I know is a controversial thought. And I will segue into this by saying, if you disagree with my final thought, you can find me on Twitter at the Andesian. I will happily debate you. If they can't fix the problems, cancel the show. Go out on a high note, on a milestone. Get out while the getting's good.
Where can people find you online, Mr. Espinosa?
I just said that.
Besides the Andesian, where else can people find you online?
I'm here on the network. I'm on shows. I possibly have a fourth show being added to the repertoire. More on that soon. As I get a dirty look into the camera from a particular person below me, like, how dare you disembody my show? I didn't do this to you. You did this to you.
Mr. Watkins, where can people find you online?
Here on Tuesdays, Soccer to the Max officially moved to Wednesdays. Broadhurst Watkins Sports Report on Thursdays. Point of Viewer Sundays. League to the Max on Mondays. At Squid Sports Head. Facebook, Eric Watkins, Guy Wine Recliner. Slide into the DMs for the thorough vetting process.
Mr. Nielsen.
If you can give me one screen share on screen, please. I gotta leave with this. This right here, this is the motherfucking Price is Right. Until we're back to this, we are not watching what we voted in the brackets as the greatest game show of all time. There's my hot take. If you got a problem with that, you send your complaints over here in the Twitterverse at JTN2002. You can find me here on Life's Like Game Show, and you may be able to find me on another show that has gone through a piloting phase that will be of a frequency probably on the order of once a month, should that pilot get approved by the almighty powers that be at the W2M Network.
At least he didn't steal my finish. All right. At HEB the Eagle, motherfucker. At HEB the Eagle, pretty much everywhere social media related. Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat, kind of, I guess, technically. Thanks, Watkins. Eric mentions BWSR on Thursdays. This week it's a special Wednesday episode as we preview the men's March Madness tournament, in addition to alternate commentary to NIT first round action as my Florida Gators take on
our Florida Gators.
Will you be on the show tomorrow? No.
I'll be in the audience.
My Florida Gators take on the Iona Gales of the Metro Atlantic Athletic Conference. Easy for me to say. Indysiders episode 5 is this Sunday. Myself and Mark Radulich cover Terminus 2, and West Coast Pro Wrestling and Prestige Wrestling present Savage Mode. In addition, on Sunday all day, starting at noon, you will be able to watch On Trial, quiz show the four of us join Mark Radulich of the Radulich and Broadcasting Network as we talk about the 1994 movie based on the 21 game show scandal of the 1950s. For Jonathan Nelson, Brian Espinoza, Eric Watkins, I'm Harry Broadhurst. You have been listening to Life is Like a Game Show, The Price is Right, the Drew Carey Era, a presentation of the W2M Network. We'll talk to you guys next week when we go into the Cindy's and the prime times. Have a great night, everybody.
Good night.